Bound by You, Sweet Romance Duology. Everything But Us. Book 1 by Lisa Fay. Prologue. He had a motorcycle, and I was fiery recklessly passionate about those two-wheelers. And him? He was cute as fuck. Ocean blue eyes. Short, messy curls. That smile, that smile. Everything about him was just so hot. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go back. Let's start with how we met, shall we? Chapter 1. I was scrolling through my Facebook feed when I came across him, don't even remember how. I clicked add friend. Not even an hour later, he messages, hello. We exchange a few words. He tells me he's meeting up with some friends for a drink, and asks if I want to join. Against my better judgment, I say yes. And I'm so glad I did. It turned out to be one of the best nights of my life, and he turned out to be a real gentleman. We agreed to meet a few blocks from my place, near a little cake shop. Apparently, we were from the same neighborhood. I got the first, of course, and waited about 10 minutes until he pulled up in a gray Skoda. I slide into the car and he immediately apologizes. I'm so sorry, did you wait long? I got here a few minutes ago. Again, I'm sorry. I just got out of the shower. Then, without warning, he takes my hand and presses it to his head. See? My hair's still wet. I laugh quietly and nod. I can't remember what he was wearing, but those eyes, those gorgeous deep blue eyes, and that smile. Even years later, a decade later, I won't forget them. That piercing Egyptian blue paired with that smile. I remember like it was yesterday. We drove off to meet his friends. And once we got there, we, meaning he, spent almost an hour trying to park. Nobody, and I mean nobody, goes into the old town center by car unless they absolutely have to. The parking is murder. Come on. Seriously? There's nowhere to park? I say nothing. I mean, it's obviously a rhetorical question. There it is. Finally, he finds a spot. Of course, we're the last to arrive. I greet his friends, 2 guys and a girl, and we sit down to order. Setimo waves the waiter over and says, 4 beers, and a summer berries fruit juice, please. Everyone gets a beer. Except him. He gets the fruit smoothie. He was taking his driving seriously. And I really admired that. Chapter 2. One of the guys, Derek, left pretty suddenly after his girlfriend called, so it was just the 4 of us. We started talking about food. I don't even remember how the conversation shifted there, but somehow, we ended up on pancakes. You know what would slap right now? Alex asked, swirling the last of his beer. Pancakes, Andrea said at the same time, pointing at him. With Nutella. Lots of it. And strawberries, I chimed in, already picturing a tower of them. Bananas too, Setimo added. And whipped cream. Obviously. We all groaned like we hadn't eaten in weeks. Let's make some, Setimo said suddenly, eyes lighting up. Come on, we'll go to my place. I've got all the stuff. Do you even have flour? Andrea raised an eyebrow. Of course, I have flour. What kind of man do you think I am? One with questionable baking priorities, Alex muttered, standing. We'll take the car, Setimo said, nodding toward me. You 2 follow us on the bike. We left the bar buzzing and playful, laughing as we split up, me and Setimo in the Skoda, Andrea and Alex revving up on his motorcycle. We pulled onto Victoria Road, cruising along calmly while the others zipped ahead. They're going too fast, I said, gripping the seatbelt a little tighter. Yeah, Alex always does this macho speed thing, Setimo replied, shaking his head. Watch him. He cuts corners like he's invincible. Alex was swerving from lane to lane, gunning the engine like he was racing no one but himself. Andrea clung to him, her hair whipping in the wind. He's going to get himself arrested, I muttered. Or worse. Setimo didn't laugh. We stayed back, steady at 60 kilometers per hour. A few minutes later, our headlights caught blue flashing lights up ahead. Alex was pulled over by a police car, the bike idling on the shoulder while 2 officers approached. Andrea was pacing in circles, visibly panicked. Well, that didn't take long, Setimo said, pulling in behind them with a sigh. Should we get out? No, stay here. It'll go faster if I talk to them alone. I stayed in the passenger seat, watching Andrea's hands flap with anxiety. The officers gestured toward the bike, then toward Alex's face. A breath test. A shake of the head. It took about 10 minutes before Setimo slid back into the driver's seat. He got a ticket for speeding and driving under the influence. He said flatly. He's lucky he still has his license. Indeed. Told you. He drives like he's made of steel. We eventually made it to his place. He lived on the 10th floor of a block that had definitely seen better days. The elevator groaned when it opened, the kind of mechanical screech that makes your soul leave your body. That thing is going to kill me, I said. You'll be fine. If it stops between floors, I swear to God. Then I'll carry you on my back the rest of the way, he grinned. When we got in, any thoughts of pancakes had completely vanished. You guys want shisha? Setimo asked, already rummaging through a cupboard. Only if it's mint, Alex called from the couch. I think I've got peach. Or some weird mixed berry thing. Let's mix them, Andrea shrugged. Vodka instead of water? Alex said, half joking. You're insane, Andrea groaned. Actually. Setimo looked over his shoulder at me. Want to get drunk through a hose? Is that a serious question? It's a lifestyle, he said solemnly, pouring vodka into the chamber. We set it up, the four of us sitting in a loose circle around the living room. I tried a few puffs and instantly erupted into a fit of coughing. I'm done, I choked. I suck at this. You'll get there, Andrea teased. I'm a hazard to myself, I muttered, clutching my chest. I leaned back and watched them get progressively tipsier. At one point, Setimo stumbled to his feet and held up a Sharpie. Hey, he slurred, grinning. I won't remember your name tomorrow if you don't write it on me. Excuse me? I laughed. Right here, he said, holding out his hand. I grabbed the Sharpie, giggling as I wrote Belle across the back of his hand. Ta-da, I said, drawing a tiny heart next to it. Now I'll never forget, he said, holding it up like a badge. You branded me. He looked at me with such softness in that moment, so unlike the teasing from earlier, that I stopped laughing for half a second. Then he hiccuped. I'm gonna get some milk, he said, walking toward the kitchen. Wait, you're drinking milk now? What? Gotta stay hydrated. Do you guys want some? He asked while bringing a full bottle of milk from the fridge. We were drunk. Stupid, silly drunk. And somehow, it all felt perfect. Chapter 3. Alex was half passed out near the couch, one leg draped dramatically over the armrest like he'd been flung there by a tornado. Andrea was perched beside him on the edge of a kitchen stool, sipping a too-hot coffee with her eyes barely open, poking at him every few minutes. You're drooling, Romeo, she muttered, nudging his side with her toe. Not, Alex mumbled, then snorted himself awake, blinking like a confused toddler. You're a disgrace, Andrea said with a smile that made it sound like a compliment. The flat smelled like vodka and hookah and something vaguely fruity that had burned in the bowl. An hour later, we were all more or less coherent and gathered in the kitchen, weakly laughing about the pancakes we never made. So glad we came over to make pancakes, Alex announced with the gravitas of a presidential address. A culinary triumph, Andrea added, deadpan. Truly groundbreaking, I said, raising an invisible glass. Michelin would be appalled, Setimo chimed in. We all laughed, the kind of laugh that comes when you're too tired to fake anything. Guys, I gotta take a piss, Setimo announced with a dramatic wave, like he was heading off on a grand quest. The three of us stayed in the kitchen, but soon enough Andrea and Alex started bickering, nothing dramatic, just a few sharp words exchanged with that weird tension you can only get between people who live together. I took it as my cue and slipped into the living room. I didn't know if they were a couple, but they sure acted like one in the middle of a tiff. When Setimo came out of the bathroom, he found me sitting on the couch, curled in the corner like I was trying to disappear into it. He sat next to me, on the floor, with his back against the couch and his head tilted toward me. The guys started fighting. I thought it'd be better to give them space. Don't worry about it, I said, watching his profile. They fight all the time. They're roommates. Oh really? I thought they were together. Nope. A moment of silence stretched between us, not awkward, just quiet. Then he looked up at me with those big blue eyes, and something shifted. He leaned in, just enough to test the air between us. I leaned too. We kissed. Soft, slow, like we'd both been waiting for it but didn't want to rush. When we broke apart, he rested his head gently on my knees, like it was the most natural place in the world to be. A few minutes later, Andrea and Alex popped into the living room, jackets already half on. Hey, we're heading out, Andrea said, her voice lower now, sobered. Yeah, thanks for the vodka fumes, Alex added, then grinned at us. You too good? Yeah, I said. Safe drive. Tell him not to speed this time, Setimo muttered to Andrea without lifting his head. No promises, Alex replied with a wink. We said our goodbyes and closed the door behind them. The flat was suddenly quiet. I looked down at Setimo. I should probably leave too. It's getting late. I'm in no condition to drive you, he said instantly, sitting up now. And I wouldn't feel okay knowing you're walking the streets at this hour. Please stay. I'll drive you home in the morning. I nodded. Chapter 4. I'm starving. Come, I'll cook, he said, already heading toward the kitchen. I followed him, still a little lightheaded from the shisha and laughter, my body buzzing more from the evening than the vodka. He started gathering ingredients without missing a beat, confident and graceful like it was second nature. Italian spaghetti, he said over his shoulder. You're in for something special. I offered to help, at least to cut the onions or stir the sauce, but he shook his head firmly. No, number. I'll make everything. You are my guest. So, I sat on a kitchen chair and watched him work. He moved like someone who knew exactly what he was doing, not showy, just sure. The smell of garlic and tomatoes filled the space, warm and homely. He even set the table, placing our plates with the care of a man who wasn't just making food but offering something of himself. We sat down together and started eating. This is delicious, I said between bites. You're an amazing cook. Thank you, he replied with a soft smile. I'm glad you like it. After we finished, I got up and started clearing the plates, instinctively reaching for the sink. Don't, he said quickly, gently stopping me. Please. There's plenty of time for it tomorrow. Let's just go to bed. He disappeared into the bedroom for a second and returned with a change of clothes. Here, I hope these are okay. You can change in here if you'd like. Thank you, they're perfect. He paused at the door. You can take the bed. I'll crash on the couch. I shook my head, frowning. No, come on. I can't do that to you. I'm sure we can share the bed. If that doesn't bother you. I promise, I won't do anything. You don't have to worry about me. And he meant it. When we lay down, he didn't even shift toward me. His only request was, left side. That's my side. He wished me good night, pressed a kiss to my back, waited a beat, and then turned to face the other way. I lay still, thinking. I shouldn't. I really shouldn't. I barely know him, I have principles, standards, boundaries. But he was right there. And he was kind, and respectful, and hadn't once made a move. He didn't expect anything. He was just warm. And real. And, well, hot. I rolled onto my side and gently touched his back, leaning in to kiss his neck. He turned to face me, slowly, eyes searching mine, and then he smiled. That smile. I reached out and stroked his face, feeling the heat of his skin under my fingers as he leaned closer. Can I kiss you? He asked, voice barely above a whisper. I nodded. We kissed, soft, then deeper, slower, like we had all the time in the world. You don't need to do this if you don't want to, he said, still holding me like I might shatter. I nodded again, this time with more certainty, and smiled. But I do. I want to. I want you. His whole face lit up, and that smile returned, wide, genuine, boyish and full of disbelief. We kissed again. Long, unhurried. The kind of kiss that melts time around it. His hands were gentle as he began to undress me, and I returned the gesture, piece by piece, until we were both bare. I kissed his neck, his chest. He responded in kind, slowly tracing every part of me like he was learning a language only we spoke. He played with my nipples, kissed me deeper, more passionately. And soon we were tangled in the sheets, breathless, laughing softly, and completely lost in each other. We were everywhere on that bed, our limbs like ribbons, constantly shifting, always finding each other again. Chapter 5. We started in missionary, simple, familiar, a soft beginning. But the way he moved, even from the start, told me this wasn't going to stay simple for long. Moments later, I was on top of him, my legs wrapped tight around his waist as we tumbled over with a breathless laugh. Him landing on top again. He lifted my legs onto his shoulders, kissed the inside of my thighs, and moved in deeper. The minutes blurred. He turned me around, pulling me into doggy style. He fucked me hard, then gathered me close, knees tucked up near my chest as he sat with his legs folded under him, his rhythm never breaking. He never once had to pull out. Every movement flowed into the next. It felt like we were dancing. He'd slide me from one position into another with such fluidity, such effortless strength, as if he'd choreographed it all. Like his body knew mine better than I did. As if he was passing me from one tempo to the next with reverent precision. We were at it all night. At one point, he sat upright with his legs stretched out. I climbed on top, my back resting against his chest, my legs folded back on either side. His arms wrapped around me and he played with my ass, teasing, kneading, as he thrust into me slowly. After a while, he gathered my legs forward again, folding them in front of me and wrapping his arms tight around my knees, fucking me in slow, deliberate strokes as he pressed his lips to my shoulder. Then we shifted down again, my body sinking into the sheets while he moved over me from behind. His cock never left me. It just followed. Like it belonged there, inside of me. Every transition was seamless, every rhythm perfectly timed. He didn't falter, didn't pause, didn't break the thread that tethered us together. That's how in sync we were. When we finished, we went to shower, but that turned into another session, steam curling around us as he pressed me against the bathroom wall, his hands holding me steady as he slid back inside. Afterward, soaked and breathless, we slipped back into bed only to begin again. His touch playful, his smile mischievous. We teased and tangled and fell apart together. 2 hours later, another shower. My skin was slick with water and soap when he lifted my leg onto his hip and entered me again. We barely made it back to the bed before he bent me forward, fucked me from behind, and turned me just enough to come on my skin. But he didn't stop. "You didn't finish, did you?" he asked, though he already knew. "I didn't," I admitted, out of breath. He smiled with that same fire, and kissed me again. He licked my neck, nibbled my ear, and slid his fingers between my legs. He played with my clit slowly at first, then quicker, his fingers working in expert circles. He pulled me onto his lap, both of us on our knees, and laid me back so I was bent over, folded in half, my legs still tucked underneath me. He guided me onto him again and kept his thumb on my clit as he fucked me deep and slow. His other hand gripped my waist, grounding me, holding me the while I pulsed around him. He knew I was close. I moaned, louder this time, and he didn't stop. He didn't rush. He held me right there, perfect pressure, perfect rhythm, until I came with a breathless cry. He kissed me, and I kissed him back, dazed, smiling. "Gather your strength," he whispered, brushing my hair from my face. "Then go take a shower. I'll go after you." I nodded, legs trembling, body still twitching with aftershocks. I knew if we showered together, we'd never stop. And I couldn't go another round just yet. It was past 4 in the morning. We had been at it all night. And it was amazing. I wasn't a virgin, and I was just shy of 23, but that was the night I learned that sex wasn't just good, it could be art. It could be transcendental. Have you ever danced with someone who knows every step before you do? Someone who leads you like the music lives in their body? That's what it felt like. Even though I didn't have much experience, he did. He knew how to touch me, how to move with me, how to read me. It was instinct, finesse, and something else too, something deeper. Connection. We were in perfect harmony. My body had never been that in sync with someone else's before. Not even close. With my ex, sex was bland. Mechanical. I just assumed that's what it was supposed to be. Functional, not phenomenal. But with Setimo, it was like discovering a whole new language. Like learning to speak with my skin. It wasn't about size. His dick was average, maybe 15, 17 centimeters tops, not too thick. But he knew how to use it. Knew how to move. Knew when to move. That made all the difference. We slept naked, limbs tangled, our breath still ragged. And for the first time, I drifted off next to someone who had really seen me, and hadn't looked away. Chapter 6. The next morning, we were still tangled in the bedsheets. The light spilling through the curtains felt soft and forgiving, like it had decided to be gentle with us. He was stroking my back in lazy circles, his fingertips gliding down my spine and tracing invisible paths as if memorizing me all over again. Neither of us was in a rush to get up. It was quiet. The kind of hush that settles between two people who are both wide awake but comfortable just being. He rested his chin lightly on my shoulder and whispered, "Look. What happened last night? I don't usually do that. I turned my face toward him, lips barely holding a smile, and cut him off. Neither do I. Actually. It was my first time doing it. His eyes widened just slightly, surprised, not in disbelief, but in something deeper. Then he smiled. That genuine, slow smile that starts from the eyes and makes its way to his lips. But I really enjoyed it, he said quietly. And I was thinking, would you like us to, be together? I mean, together. As a couple? There was no dramatic music. No grand gesture. Just a question hanging softly in the space between us, heavy with meaning and light as air all at once. I would, I replied. Yes. He looked at me like I had just gifted him something priceless. There was a shine to his gaze, something boyish and full of wonder. A look of calm joy. What I thought would be a one-night stand was already becoming something else. Something real. Something I hadn't even dared to hope for. And I didn't regret a thing. He kept looking at me as if he still couldn't believe I was there. His eyes weren't just on me, they were seeing me. Devouring me from the inside out. Quietly, reverently. Belle. Let's have breakfast. Yes, let's. He rolled out of bed and wandered into the kitchen. I stayed a moment longer, my body still humming from the night before. How did this happen so fast? And why didn't it feel like too much? When I joined him, he was already mixing up something in a blender cup. You drink coffee? It's my secret recipe. I hope you'll like it. The way he said coffee made me pause, there was something there. Yes, I do, I said, narrowing my eyes in a playful squint. Wait. Do you have an accent? He chuckled softly. It must have slipped. I've been living in the city for 15 years now. I've mostly lost it, but I guess I'm still tired. You don't have to apologize, I said. It was cute. That got another smile. And that smile. God, that smile. He blended what I later discovered was about a liter of milk, sugar, velvet instant coffee, and a few extra things he refused to tell me. When he poured the drink into 2 tall glasses, the foam rose like a crown. He handed one to me, watching closely for a reaction. I took a sip. It's delicious. I know, right? He said, mock smug, and we both giggled like kids with a secret. We leaned against the counter, sipping in silence. Then he raised his eyebrows. You know. We should make those damn pancakes. Oh, definitely. We laughed again, a full, warm laugh that echoed through the kitchen. It wasn't just about the pancakes. It was about how easy it felt to share the air. He started making the batter while I set the table, fetching plates and forks like I had always belonged there. And when we sat down to eat, it was quiet, but the kind of silence where you don't need to fill the gaps. It was peaceful. Grounded. After we finished, he stood up. I'll do the dishes. You just sit and enjoy your frap. At least let me clear the table. No need, he said, soft but firm. Please. So I sat. And watched. Every now and then, he looked back at me and smiled, as if he couldn't believe I was still there. Or maybe he just didn't want to stop looking. When he finished, he walked over, leaned down, and kissed me. Sweet and slow. Later today, we should go out, he murmured against my lips. But now. Let's go back to bed. He took my hand, and I followed. Halfway to the bedroom, he slid my t-shirt off and tossed it down the hallway. I laughed and tugged at his pants, and we nearly tumbled into the living room again from the sheer mess of limbs and laughter. By the time we made it to bed, we were already naked. He laid me on the edge of the mattress, my legs still touching the floor, and began kissing my neck, my chest, my breasts. His tongue circled my nipples, and then his teeth grazed them lightly, sending sparks through me. I moaned, arching my back as he moved lower. That feels so good. I had never really enjoyed oral before. It always felt like something I had to pretend to like. But this was different. His whole face was between my thighs, his tongue moving in slow, deliberate strokes. And I could barely breathe from how good it felt. My fingernails clutched the sheets like they were the only thing keeping me grounded. He paused for just a moment, and I dragged him up onto the bed, pulling him on top of me. He was smiling again, that sweet, lazy grin that made me melt. We turned into a side-by-side 69, touching, licking, tasting, playing. His mouth on my clit, my tongue on him. Biting softly. Moaning. Gasping. It didn't take long for either of us to finish again. "You can take the first shower," he whispered, his voice still heavy from pleasure. "We can go together. If you want. If we do that, we'll definitely not shower. Remember last night? We tried, twice." I laughed again, that open kind of laugh that only happens when your body is wrecked and your heart is stupidly full. "Yes. You're right." Chapter 7. After we both showered, we got dressed and went for a ride. To my slight disappointment, we took the car, not the motorcycle. He caught the way my eyes lingered on the bike parked outside, my fingers absent-mindedly brushing over the seat as I passed it. "I'll take you for a ride with it as well, but not in the city," he said, unlocking the car. "It's too crowded. Maybe we can go to the mountains or somewhere, if you'd like." "Most certainly I would." I smiled, already imagining the wind in my hair and my arms wrapped tightly around him. We got in the car and started driving. I had no idea where we were headed. "It's not far, we'll be there in a couple of minutes." "Where are we going?" "You'll see." "Mysterious," I teased, raising a playful brow. We both laughed. There was something easy about laughing with him, it didn't feel forced. It just came naturally, like breathing. "We're there." He found a parking space almost instantly, as if the universe was working with him. We were at Central Park. I really liked it here. It was big and open, with winding paths, shaded benches, and a lake that reflected the sky like a silver mirror. There were families strolling about, couples on the grass, little kids feeding ducks. It felt peaceful. Normal. "Let's get ice cream," he said, tugging on my hand. "Vanilla and coconut, please." He returned moments later, handing me my cone and keeping one for himself. "Dark chocolate, of course." As we walked slowly towards the boating house, he reached for my hand, his fingers intertwining with mine. His thumb traced gentle circles on my skin, like he wasn't even aware he was doing it. We walked like that, close, quiet, content. Like lovers. We rented a boat and pushed out onto the lake. The world fell away. There weren't many words, just glances, smiles, the occasional kiss when we drifted into the shade of the trees. It wasn't silence exactly. It was something more intimate than noise. Afterwards, on our way back, we stopped for a bit of shopping. We were making pizza that night and needed a few things. "Should we get some fizzy drinks as well?" I asked, scanning the shelves. "No," Setimo replied with a grin. "Those are not healthy at all. Better grab some orange juice." He always had this funny balance, charming, flirty, but also annoyingly disciplined about food. I rolled my eyes and nodded. Back at home, the kitchen turned into a small war zone. We had flour on our cheeks, in our hair, probably in places where flour should never be. As we layered the toppings, he squirted ketchup on my cheek and, without warning, leaned in and licked it off, grinning wickedly. "Oh really?" I smirked. I returned the gesture with a swipe of tomato sauce to his jaw, and soon we were covered in sticky sauce, smudged flour handprints, and apparently some olives that somehow ended up between my breasts. We cleaned up for dinner, both of us laughing through warm water and sudsy soap, brushing up against each other more than necessary. After we ate, we decided to watch a movie. That process, however, turned into a whole comedy sketch. An hour of switching through channels, watching Setimo almost doze off while holding the remote like a fallen warrior. "I'm done. The TV is just boring," I announced with a dramatic sigh. "Let's watch something online or on torrent. I don't have an account, but if you do, we can use my laptop." He nodded and handed it over. I logged in and started searching. Every time I asked him what kind of movie he wanted, he shrugged like it didn't matter. Eventually, I settled on an action film with Schwarzenegger, but 10 minutes in, we both looked at each other like, meh, and closed the laptop. We snuggled up under the sheets. The room dimly lit, the low hum of the city in the distance. "It's cold tonight. Isn't it?" he said, scooting closer and wrapping an arm around my waist. "Looks like a storm might be starting." Outside, the wind had begun to rise. You could hear the restless rustling of leaves and the faint creak of the window frame. The air had that electric, heavy quality, like something was about to shift. I pulled the blanket tighter, our bodies naturally adjusting to find that perfect closeness. "It's going to pour soon," I murmured, tracing a finger along his forearm. "Let it. We're already exactly where we need to be." There was no lightning yet. Just wind. Just him, warm beside me, and that quiet, charged space that made everything outside feel so far away. Chapter 8. I stroke his head and neck, cradling him gently against my chest. His breathing is deep and steady, his lashes brushing softly against my skin. He looks peaceful like this, eyes half closed, lost in that space between waking and sleep. We hadn't rested much the night before, maybe 3 hours at most. It felt like we tested half the positions from the Kama Sutra and invented a few of our own. My fingers moved instinctively, tangling in the soft curls at the nape of his neck. I love his hair. I love how warm his skin is beneath my touch. Outside, the sky had turned a moody silver, and rain tapped gently against the window. Lightning flickered, painting quick shadows across the ceiling. I watched it quietly, my body still humming from everything we shared. Setimo stirred. His hand began to travel slowly along my side, up my ribs and down my hips, trailing goosebumps in its wake. He kissed my collarbone, then my neck. "I thought you were asleep," I whispered, my voice soft and low. "That would not be very nice of me," he murmured against my skin. "I just wanted to stay like that a little longer." He kissed me again, slow, deeper, firmer. Then, without words, he pushed me gently down onto my stomach. I turned my face toward the pillow, and I felt his lips on my lower back, the heat of his breath lingering on my skin. He knelt behind me, lifting me with both hands until I was on all fours, my hips high, his hands firm on my thighs and waist. He pressed kisses along my spine, then down again to my tailbone. "Can I put it in?" His voice was low and husky. I didn't answer. Instead, I arched my back, offering more of myself, letting him feel how much I wanted him. That was all the answer he needed. He started by patting me gently, then harder, his hands trailing possessively across my curves. I felt him part my cheeks, his fingers teasing the sensitive skin of my backside, tracing circles that made me shiver. He reached for the lube and poured a generous amount across my skin, the cool liquid sending a jolt through my body. He spread it with both hands, slick and slow, letting it trail down from my back, across the curve of my ass. His fingers returned, now coated, working gently at first, then with more pressure. The lube made it smooth, but I could feel every movement, every twist, every stroke, as he slid 2 fingers inside. I gasped softly, my muscles clenching, then relaxing again as he kept stroking me from every angle. He cupped my breast with his free hand, squeezing it tenderly, thumbing my nipple until I moaned into the pillow. The way he could be everywhere at once. It made my head spin. Soon, he pushed a 3rd finger in alongside the others, his movements deliberate but careful. I whimpered, it hurt a little, but it was also overwhelming in the best possible way. My body was opening up to him, adjusting, letting him in. He paused and bent over me, kissing the back of my neck. His hand slid away, and I felt his chest pressed to my spine, warm and strong. Then he pulled me back into position, my ass high again, my knees wide. I felt his cock between my cheeks, sliding softly up and down, teasing me. He didn't enter me right away. He just let the head glide over my clit, letting me pant and moan beneath him. When he did finally press against my ass, he used one hand to guide himself and the other to keep me parted. The pressure was slow at first, the head of his cock pushing against me, stretching me. When it slipped in, I gasped. Even though we'd done this before, it always surprised me how deep it felt, like he was filling parts of me I didn't even know existed. He paused, letting me adjust, his arms wrapping around me from behind. We stayed like that for a moment, just breathing together. I could feel his heartbeat against my back. And then he began to move. Slow thrusts at first, rocking into me, pulling back, then deeper again. I was stretched wide, but I loved it. It was intense and raw and personal. He pulled my body up until I was sitting in his lap, my back pressed to his chest, his cock still deep inside me. One arm wrapped tightly around my waist. The other slid down between my legs, finding my clit with practiced precision. His fingers were relentless, circling, tapping, teasing. He knew what he was doing. My body started to shake. I moaned, louder than I meant to. I couldn't stop it even if I tried. My walls clenched, and I came hard, eyes shut, mouth open, hips moving uncontrollably. I felt every ripple, every wave of pleasure. And still, he kept moving, kept touching, kept kissing the curve of my neck like it was sacred. Chapter 9. I woke up and he wasn't in bed. The sheets were still warm on his side, a faint trace of his scent still lingering. It was barely 7 in the morning. I stretched slowly, savoring the comfort of the blanket, before getting up and finding him in the other room, already at his laptop. His bare back was hunched slightly as he typed, the soft light of the screen casting a quiet glow on his skin. "Good morning," I whispered, walking behind him and placing a gentle kiss between his shoulder blades. "Good morning, sleepyhead," he replied, his voice warm. "It's barely 7. How am I a sleepyhead?" I chuckled against his skin. He laughed softly, the corners of his mouth lifting in that boyish grin of his. "Let me make breakfast," he said, already rising from his chair. "Fine, but this time I'll at least wash the dishes," I insisted, following him to the kitchen. "Deal. I'll cook, you do the dishes. And when you cook, I'll take care of the mess." "Perfect," I smiled, brushing my lips against his cheek as he moved past me. He worked quickly, comfortable in his own kitchen. The scent of toast and warm milk began to fill the air, and I watched as he whisked something together with an almost theatrical flair. I loved mornings with him. There was something tender about the routine we were beginning to fall into, like a quiet promise being made, day by day. After breakfast, something in his expression shifted, turning more serious. "I've got a bit of work today," he said, leaning against the counter. "Do you mind watching TV or something while I get through it?" "Don't worry about it. I was thinking of heading home anyway, just to change clothes. I can come back later. I can drive you if you want." "Thank you. But really, it's just one stop from here. I'll be back in a couple of hours." "You sure?" "Completely," I reassured him. "Don't take too long." "I won't. Promise." He reached for the keys, dangling them toward me. "Take these." I took them, a little surprised, though I didn't say it. I told myself it was just convenience, nothing more. But still, the gesture clung to me like something more meaningful. We kissed before I left. It started soft and ended with a few more lingering moments than we intended. Neither of us wanted to pull away first. I took the train. In just 15 minutes, I was already at my door. The familiar air of my apartment wrapped around me like a comfort I hadn't realized I missed. 3 days. That's how long it had been since I'd last stood in my own space. I took a long shower. Then I opened my PC, checked a few emails, scrolled without really reading anything. The digital hum of normal life had dulled. The bed pulled me in. I stretched out across it and closed my eyes for a while, letting the music from my playlist fill the quiet. I started thinking, rewinding through the past few days like a movie I didn't want to end. His smile. His hands. The way he kissed my forehead. Everything had moved so fast, and somehow, it still felt real. When I finally checked the time, it was already noon. A text message lit up my screen. "Can you please buy some sugar on your way back?" I smiled, replying that I would, and asked if he needed anything else. His response came almost instantly, "You." I laughed out loud, thumbed a laughing emoji back. Another message followed. "Buy some rice as well please, I want to cook for you my amazing risotto." I got dressed and glanced back at the bed, the sheets still rumpled, still warm. I knew I'd miss it again tonight. I grabbed my bag and headed to the store. Sugar. Rice. A little part of me liked that he needed these things. That he wanted to cook for me. Back at the station, I made my way up. The building hadn't changed, same dim corridor, same hum of distant neighbors. But I was faced with a dilemma, elevator or stairs. Take the creaky, haunted-looking lift alone and die of anxiety? Or climb 10 floors and nearly die of exhaustion? I sighed and chose the stairs. By the 9th floor, I was panting and pressed to the wall trying to will my lungs back into function. A few more steps and I reached the door. The key didn't want to turn. I wrestled with it for a minute or two, sweat sticking to my spine, until it finally clicked. The door opened. Of course, he was already in the hallway, smirking like he knew the whole struggle. My cheeks flushed red. "The key got stuck," I mumbled. "You've got to be gentle with it." He stepped forward, took my wrist gently and pulled me inside, backing me up against the door. His lips found mine without hesitation, hard, wanting. "I missed you. You said you'd be back soon." "It took you a while," he said between kisses. "I thought you were busy, I was giving you some space. I didn't want to bother you. If I want space, I'll tell you." He kissed me again, deeper this time. His hand was still wrapped around my wrist. His touch was firm, hungry. I kissed him back, trying to push gently into him, not to resist, but to breathe. He swept me into his arms and carried me to the couch. We melted into each other, hands roaming, hearts racing. Then, the interruption. His phone rang. "I have to take it," he groaned. "It's work. I won't be long." He kissed me once more and slipped into the other room with the phone to his ear. I stayed behind, catching my breath. I took off my shoes, set the sugar and rice on the kitchen table, and poured myself a glass of orange juice. I sank into the couch, remote in hand, flipping through the endless abyss of nothingness on TV. A few channels later, I landed on some cartoons and left them playing in the background. Time passed. A lot of it. More than 2 hours. The cartoon characters blurred together, their voices a drone. I curled into the corner of the couch and waited. He was still on the phone. And I couldn't help but wonder. What was I doing here? Chapter 10. At around 5 in the afternoon, the door finally opened. The sound of the doorknob turning was quiet, but to me, it felt like thunder. "I'm sorry it took so long," he said, his voice soft, almost hesitant. "That's fine. It happens." That's what I said. But what I thought, what I felt, was something entirely different. I should have stayed home longer. I had my computer there. My books. My playlists. My world. Here, I had cartoons and an empty room. He looked at me, eyes searching mine. "I'll make dinner." "Did you get the rice?" he asked. "Yeah, I did." I tried to sound casual, neutral. But I wasn't even sure how I sounded, bored maybe. Or a little pissed. Maybe both. I wasn't trying to hide it. He paused, and I saw it. The way his body went just slightly rigid. I had to take the call. "It was work," he said, with that calm voice of his. I never said anything, I answered, still not meeting his eyes. "Your face, your voice did." The comment landed somewhere in my chest. And maybe he was right. I was already irritated and feeling ridiculous for rushing back here like some love-struck teenager just to end up watching cartoon penguins dance on a screen. So, I snapped a little. "Well, excuse me for getting bored. I was planning on coming back after 5 anyway, but you said I was taking too long, so I came back earlier." There. I said it. Not yelling. Not mean. But sharp enough to leave a sting. He looked at me. There was a flicker in his eyes, something unreadable, before he softened again, returning to that strange, quiet control of his. The calm after a storm, before the next wave. "I'm sorry," he said gently. "I didn't anticipate the phone call. I did miss you. And yes, I wanted you to come back sooner. Or better yet, to have never left." That sentence. That line. It melted something in me. My face flushed crimson. He had this way of slipping under my skin with nothing but words. He didn't need grand gestures, he was the gesture. "I missed you too," I murmured, suddenly embarrassed that I had been sulking at all. He leaned in and kissed my shoulder. Not my lips. Not my neck. My shoulder, bare, exposed, vulnerable. The kind of kiss that says you're safe. Then he took my hand without asking and led me to the kitchen. We cooked together in a sort of peaceful rhythm. I chopped the vegetables, trying not to get too caught up in watching the way his hands moved over the meat. He was methodical, focused. I liked watching him like this, half domestic, half sculptor, like the kitchen was his canvas. I finished first and set the table. "Not those glasses," he said quickly, his voice amused as he pointed toward the shelf. "Take those." He nodded toward the tall-stemmed wine glasses on the top shelf. "So, we're drinking red wine tonight?" He smirked, pausing just long enough to turn it into a moment. "You know your glasses. Good then. And to answer your question, yes, we are. Any occasion? Just because. Okay, if you say so." I didn't push. I didn't need a reason. Sometimes, just because was the most romantic reason of all. We ate quietly, like always. Not in an awkward silence, but the kind that fills the space with comfort rather than noise. We both liked it that way. After dinner, the last sips of wine lingered in the glasses, and he stared at me. Not in a way that made me self-conscious. It was tender. Studying. Like he was memorizing my face. "I like you," he said, finally breaking the silence. The simplicity of the words caught me off guard. They weren't poetic or embellished, but they landed heavy, like he'd just said something monumental. "I like you too," I said, softly. And I meant it. In a way that terrified me. His eyes stayed on mine for a beat longer, like he was waiting for something more, but didn't know what to ask. Neither of us said another word. We didn't need to. Chapter 11. I don't live here, not officially. But my toothbrush is in the cup next to his. And there's a hair tie on the nightstand, a forgotten lip balm in the kitchen drawer, a mug I always reach for that he never uses anymore. I go home every few days, mostly for clothes and to throw the used ones in the wash, but each time I walk through my front door, it already feels foreign, like a place I used to belong to before him. He hates when I leave, even if it's just for a few hours. He never says it outright, but I see it in the way he hugs me tighter when I tell him I need to go. The slight frown he tries to hide when I zip my bag up. The quiet text me when you get there that lingers like a sigh. Our routine has become a rhythm, something warm and familiar. He usually wakes up first, always working, always reading something on his laptop with his glasses half slipping down his nose. I wake up to the faint sound of typing and the smell of coffee, and sometimes, if the morning is kind, of toasted bread or warm croissants. "Good morning, sleepyhead," he says every single time. Even if I'm up at 7, even if I just blink once and open my eyes, still, I'm sleepyhead. "You're the sleepyhead," I mumble back one morning as I steal a warm spot on the couch and wrap the blanket tighter around myself. "You just disguise it behind that coffee and blue-eyed deception." He laughs, kisses my forehead, and slides a cup into my hand. It's a frap, of course, his secret recipe, cold and frothy and always perfect. I can't help that I'm dazzling. It's a birth defect. "Your ego is the real defect." "You like my ego," he grins. I tolerate it. Like a sibling. Or a rash. He laughs again and goes back to his laptop while I sip my drink, watching him out of the corner of my eye. I love these mornings, the quietness, the steadiness, the way he looks when he forgets I'm watching. On days when I have uni, he drives me. Always. He never complains about the time or the traffic. Sometimes we don't even speak much. He plays music, and I stare out the window with his hand resting gently on my thigh. It's enough. That silence between us is never empty, it's full of 1,000 things unsaid and 100 moments lived. When we pull up, he always leans over to kiss my cheek, even if I'm halfway out the door. 3 hours? He says. Roughly. I'll be waiting. Don't be late. I miss you when you're gone. You say that like I disappear for weeks, I tease, but my heart tightens every time. Because I miss him too. More than I should for someone I see every single day. When I get home, he's usually buried in work, but he always looks up the second I walk through the door. "You're back. You noticed?" "I always notice you." It's the way he says it, quietly, with that half smile that makes my stomach flutter. He never tries too hard, never overwhelms me with grand gestures. But he's there, in all the small, steady ways that matter most. One evening, while I'm drying my hair after a shower, he walks in and leans against the bathroom doorframe, watching me. "What?" I ask, raising an eyebrow. He shrugs, then smiles. "Nothing. Just. You look like you belong here." It's nice. I look at my reflection in the mirror, at the little pink toothbrush next to his blue one. The towel I always use draped over the radiator. Maybe I do. He walks over and rests his forehead against mine. "You do." That night, we fall asleep tangled together. His hand curled under my shirt, fingers resting on the bare skin of my waist. My head on his chest, listening to the steady thump of his heart. Before he drifts off, he murmurs, "Waking up next to you is the best feeling ever." I press a kiss to his skin as if confirming his words. Chapter 12. I was standing in the kitchen, pouring orange juice, barefoot in one of his oversized shirts when he came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist, and mumbled into my neck, "Pack a bag. We're going to the mountains tomorrow." I turned around, grinning. "What? When?" "Tomorrow. After your morning class. Just us. Cabin, pine trees, fresh air. You in?" I kissed him before answering. "Of course I'm in." We left just before noon, after he picked me up from uni, with my bag tossed in the back seat and a playlist softly humming through the car speakers. He had this calm energy about him, like he needed this more than he let on, an escape from work, from the city, from whatever kept his brow furrowed lately. I kicked my shoes off and curled up in the passenger seat, watching the scenery shift from buildings to trees. At one point, he reached over and rested his hand on my thigh, squeezing gently. You okay? I'm more than okay. Good. You were so quiet. Just soaking it in. He smiled, his eyes flicking toward me briefly before returning to the road. I like when you do that. Do what? Go quiet. You think I don't notice? You go quiet when you're really content and happy. The cabin sat at the edge of a pine forest, just above a little stream that we could hear gurgling from the porch. It was small, rustic, perfect. There was a wood stove in the corner, a window with soft white curtains, and a wooden table that looked like it had been there forever. You like it? He asked as I stepped inside, taking it all in. I love it, I whispered. It's beautiful. So are you, he said, setting the bags down. Now come here. He pulled me into a kiss so soft, it felt like the slow turning of a page. He didn't rush anything. His hand stayed at my waist. My lips melted into his. The world, for a few seconds, forgot to turn. We spent the afternoon exploring the forest trail behind the cabin. We didn't go far, just enough to feel lost in something green and quiet. He picked up a pine cone and threw it at me playfully. I gasped and threw one back. 10 minutes later we were chasing each other through the trees, out of breath, cheeks flushed. I surrender. He called, laughing, his hands up. You better. I was breathless, still giggling when he caught me by the wrist and pulled me into his arms. You've got pine needles in your hair, he murmured. Leave them. It's mountain couture. That night, we made hot cocoa, lit a few candles, and played cards until we forgot the score. At some point I caught him watching me, his chin propped on one hand, eyes soft and blue like calm water. What? Nothing, he said quietly. Just glad you're here. I leaned across the table and kissed him. Later, we curled up under the thick cabin blankets, skin warm from the fire, limbs tangled. He kissed the top of my head and whispered, I don't think I've laughed that much in weeks. You needed this, I said, tracing little circles on his bare chest. I needed you, he replied, almost inaudibly, as if the words were still too big to say fully aloud. The wind outside rattled the windows, but inside, the world was still. He fell asleep holding me close, and for the first time in a while, I didn't think about tomorrow. I just listened to the quiet beat of his heart and matched my breathing to his. Chapter 13. We came back from the mountains on Sunday evening. Neither of us said it, but we were both reluctant to return. As we drove down the hills, winding roads turning slowly into crowded lanes and impatient horns, the mood changed a little, subtle, but there. He squeezed my thigh every now and then like he was reminding himself I was still beside him, still his, even as the city swallowed us back. He parked in front of the building and didn't move right away. You all right? I asked. Yeah. He looked over at me. I just really liked having you all to myself. I smiled, leaned over, kissed him softly. You still do. Monday came too quickly. He drove me to uni like he always did, but this time, when I stepped out of the car, he tugged at my wrist gently. Wait. I turned back to him. His hand slid behind my neck and he kissed me, not rushed, not hesitant, but full. For good luck, he said, smiling. That's not how luck works. It is now. I went home after class, not because I wanted to, but because I needed new clothes and the laundry pile in the corner was beginning to look like a small mountain of its own. He called twice while I was packing. The first time just to say hi. The second time to ask if I remembered to take the cardigan I wore when we went to the lake. You looked soft in that, he said. I was back by evening. He opened the door before I even knocked, like he'd been pacing behind it. You took forever, he said. It's been 2 hours. Exactly. That week felt like a quiet thread pulled through time. Nothing loud. Just us. Between his work, his writing, my uni hours, we found moments. He'd leave little notes for me on the bathroom mirror, sometimes just a heart, sometimes a quote in another language, always signed with an S. I started replying on the same mirror with eyeliner. One day, I wrote, I like it here. With you. He didn't say anything about it, but that night, when I opened the fridge, I found a jar of my favorite jam with a post-note stuck to it. Because I like it when you stay. One evening, while I was sitting on the bed folding laundry, he walked in with a box of strawberries and a can of whipped cream. I had a thought. Oh no. Let's have dessert before dinner. We laughed until we couldn't breathe, red-fingered and sugar-lipped. He fed me a strawberry dipped in cream and kissed me before I could swallow it. We didn't make it to dinner. The strawberries ended up somewhere on the floor. We started talking more at night, not about anything big. He asked about my childhood. I told him about my terrible first crush, the one with whom I would always fist fight. He laughed so hard he almost fell off the bed. "I'll never unsee that," he wheezed. "Don't you dare." He curled into me, still grinning. "You're the worst. Yet, somehow, you're still here." I stayed. Night after night. I stopped calling it his place. It was just where I went, where I slept, where I laughed the most. He never asked me to move in. He didn't have to. One morning, as I was brushing my teeth, I noticed he'd cleared out a drawer for me. It had a sticky note inside. "Now yours." Chapter 14. It was midnight in July. The windows were open, the air thick with warmth, the kind that wraps around your skin like a silk scarf. We were both lounging lazily in bed, half watching something neither of us was invested in, too full from dinner, too sleepy to care. Setimo goes to the bathroom and jolts out of it and rushes to grab the camera. "What there?" I start, sitting up in alarm. But he's already back in, camera in hand, not a word of explanation. Curious, of course I follow. "Careful with the door, don't let it go in the house," he says sharply. I'm halfway through a confused "let what go in the house?" when I see it. A huge cockroach skittering across the bathroom floor. I slam the door shut with a shriek and press my back to it. "Belle," he calls from the other side. "What?" "I am not opening this door. Bring me the green silicone glove from underneath the kitchen sink." I groan but obey. "Okay, wait." I scurry to the kitchen, retrieve the glove, and knock sheepishly on the bathroom door. He cracks it open just enough to reach through. "Here's the glove," I whisper like we're in some kind of espionage movie. "I want to take some pictures," he says, fully serious. "Of the bug?" Yes. "Did you see how big it is?" "Yeah, I did. And if that thing escapes into the house, I won't be able to sleep for a month." "It won't. You stay guard." "Amazing." And so begins bug night. He tries to catch it. And fails. Then catches it. And fails again. It escapes every time, and every time it heads even remotely in his direction, Setimo jumps like the floor caught fire. I'm in the doorway, stifling giggles until I can't help myself. I film him for a few minutes. It's too ridiculous not to. More than half an hour in, he finally catches it again, triumphantly taking photos like it's a prized fossil. And then, inevitably, it escapes again, slipping into the bathtub. I'm done. I walk away and go back to bed, laughing and muttering about having seen enough National Geographic for one night. A few minutes later, Setimo returns, triumphant and out of breath. "It's gone. Flushed it." "You're safe," he says as he climbs into bed beside me. But sleep doesn't come. I toss and turn, the image of that damn bug dancing through my brain. Every creak in the house sounds like skittering legs. When he wakes up around 6, I'm already upright, hugging my knees to my chest. "You really didn't sleep at all?" he asks, squinting at me with sleepy affection. "I couldn't," I mumble. He props his pillow and pats his chest. "Here, put your head down on me." I'm here. Try to sleep a bit. I don't resist. I melt into him, curling close. His arms wrap around me like they were made to. I feel safe. My eyes drift closed. When I wake up 2 hours later, he's still there. Still holding me. Still warm. "Good morning, beauty." "Good morning. And thank you," I say softly. "You're very welcome," he replies before pressing a long, tender kiss to my lips. I tug at him gently, wordlessly inviting him closer. He smiles and climbs over me, and the rest unfolds in whispers, warmth, and soft gasps. The day passes in slow motion, like honey dripping on a summer afternoon. Neither of us wants to do anything too complicated. After breakfast, omelets and toast he insisted on making, saying I needed to recover from my sleepless night. We curl up with coffee on the balcony, feet tangled, chairs barely holding our laziness. At lunch, we barely eat, just grab a few bites of fruit and cheese and head back to lying around. The heat is soft and mellow, a lullaby of cicadas humming from trees in the distance. Later, as the air cools and dusk creeps in, he surprises me. "Let's skip dinner at home. Want to have a picnic?" I grin. "Yes, absolutely yes." We pack up whatever we have, leftover pizza, some crackers, juice, and the fruit we didn't eat earlier. He grabs a blanket, and we head to the small park near his building. The grass is warm but forgiving, and the air carries the scent of sunbushed trees. We lie down next to each other under the pink and orange sky, nibbling grapes, making jokes, brushing away ants. "I love this," I whisper at one point, not even thinking. He turns to me and brushes my hair from my face. "Me too," he says, eyes softer than velvet. We stay until the street lamps flicker on and the stars blink through the purple veil of the evening. When we get home, we're sticky and tired but happy. No drama, no rush. Just this. Just us. That night, I sleep like a baby. No bugs. No worries. Just his breath in my hair, and mine, calm again, finally. Chapter 15. He wakes me up in the middle of the night. "Let's go to the beach," he whispers, voice barely louder than a breath, like it's a secret only the moon should hear. "What?" I mumble, still half asleep, blindly searching for the clock. It's 3:30. "Can you skip uni today?" I'm awake. "What? Off, today? Can you?" "Yeah, sure," I say, rubbing my eyes. "I'll just send a text." "You can send it from the car," he says with a grin. "Come on." He's already out of bed, pulling on a t-shirt. I almost tumble out of the covers, confused but laughing softly. We're dressed in under 5 minutes. I barely get time to pee. He grabs the car keys with the kind of energy you don't expect from someone who's barely had 3 hours of sleep. "You can sleep in the car if you want," he offers as he starts the engine. "I don't want to. I'm awake now." "Good," he says, eyes glancing toward me in the dark. "I enjoy your company." I rest my forehead on the cold window for a moment. "What's gotten into you with going to the beach?" "You never mentioned it yesterday." "I just woke up and thought we should see the sunrise," he says. "And take a swim. 300 kilometers away, right?" "Precisely." We both burst out laughing, giddy with exhaustion and anticipation. He pulls into a petrol station and says, while I fill up, "Get coffee and something to eat?" I nod and disappear inside. I come back with a milk coffee, a hot chocolate, and 2 sandwiches, warm and wrapped. "Perfect. Thank you." "I forgot to say I want my coffee with milk." "I knew that already," I reply with a wink. He leans over and kisses me without a word. We're back on the road. I unwrap one sandwich and feed him bites as he drives, occasionally brushing his hand over my thigh as if to confirm I'm still there, still real. As the sky begins to blush with light, we're nearly there. The horizon opens wide before us. He parks as close to the shore as possible, and we get out, barefoot, running. The sand is cool and damp and smells like salt and wind. The sun peeks over the edge of the world. "It's beautiful," I whisper. He takes my hand without a word, and we sit side by side on the sand, snuggled together, watching the sun pour gold over the water. It's quiet, peaceful, the kind of silence that says everything. With the light now warm on our faces, he takes off his shirt. "We should go for a swim." Before I can say anything, he's tugging my dress down in one smooth motion, his eyes playful. I giggle and kiss him. We run for the water. It's freezing. We scream, we laugh, we splash like kids. Time stands still. There's no one else here. It's a hidden part of the beach, a pocket of magic where the world forgets to exist. We swim until we're numb, then lie on the sand in the rising sun. His arm tucked beneath my head, my fingers tracing circles on his chest. We kiss like we've been kissing all our lives. We spent the whole day swimming, drying off, lying on our backs watching clouds shift, touching, kissing, saying nothing. Everything. Just us. On the way home, we're quiet, happy and still joyful, like the kind where the heart is full and words would only get in the way. We steal glances at each other. He drives with one hand on the wheel, the other finding mine, fingers tangled on my lap. I look at him and think say something, but I can't. And he doesn't. We smile instead. When we get home, we don't even get out of the car right away. He leans over and starts kissing me, soft and slow at first, then more intense. The kind of kiss that fills your lungs. "Could you blow me?" he whispers against my lips. He's already unzipped, already half out. His hand slips between my thighs, into my panties. I don't speak. I lean forward and take him in gently, slowly. He groans, a sound that vibrates through his chest and into my fingertips. He grips my hair, not too hard, just enough. His other hand finds its rhythm inside me. Just before he finishes, he pulls back, breath heavy. Upstairs. Now. I want you. All of you. We tumble out of the car like teenagers, tripping into the lift, our hands everywhere. He kisses my neck, my collarbone, tugs at my dress, fingers impatient. By the time we reach the 10th floor, we're barely holding it together. We fumble at the lock and laugh at how noisy we are, how impossible it is to be quiet with this much hunger between us. We don't make it to the bed right away. He takes me on the 10th floor balcony, bending me over the railing, my breasts brushing the cool iron, my body open to the night. He holds me by my hips, my hair twisted in his hand. The wind whistles, and I moan. Loud. Reckless. I'm sure the whole boulevard can hear me. But I don't care. He turns me to face him, still half hanging over the edge, and thrusts into me again. His eyes are wild with pleasure. My body's on fire. Then he scoops me into his arms and carries me inside like I weigh nothing at all. I feel breathless. Seen. Craved. We collapse into bed, tangled and laughing, breathless from all of it. The waves, the sun, the moans, the sea salt still on our skin. Still touching. Still us. Chapter 16. We were wrapped in that lazy afterglow, naked, tangled in sheets and silence. The room was dim, the curtains lazily fluttering with the breeze from the cracked window. His fingers traced tidal circles on my skin. Then he turned slightly toward me, resting on one elbow. Can I masturbate you and watch your reactions? He asked, a cheeky smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. You're so cute when you blush. His eyes twinkled with something playful, but beneath that, there was something else too, curiosity, intimacy, reverence. How could I ever refuse him? That was impossible for me. Although we'd just had our wild escapade on the balcony and collapsed laughing into bed, I was still hungry for him. Not just for his body, but the way he looked at me, as if every reaction I had was a discovery he wanted to learn by heart. I nodded, breath already catching. Of course you can, I whispered, but only if I do the same with you. He smiled in that way that made my heart jump, slow, a little lopsided, filled with warmth. Without another word, he shifted closer and let his fingers trail down my belly. His touch was light at first, tracing around me like he was outlining a map only he could read. Then he moved lower, fingertips parting me gently, teasingly, until they found my clit. He pressed softly, then flicked fast, watching me. His eyes never left my face. He liked to see me fall apart. Do you like what I'm doing? He asked, his voice low, tender. I didn't answer with words. I just moaned, long and slow, body arching beneath him. My legs trembled, my breath uneven. His expression was part fascination, part pride. You're so beautiful like this, he murmured. I wish I could freeze this exact moment. His fingers slid inside me, slow and deliberate, 3 at once, filling me just enough to stretch but not enough to satisfy that burning need for him. He twisted his wrist gently, angling upward. My head tilted back against the pillow, throat exposed, gasping for air. And then he stopped. Just stopped. I look at him, part frustration, part disbelief. I mean, did you really had to stop then and there? Who does that? I didn't say anything out loud. Do you want more? He asked, teasing, with that glint in his eye that told me he knew exactly what he was doing. I didn't answer right away. He leaned closer. Do you? I nodded, slowly. He took my hand in his and guided it down, curling my fingers into myself. Then show me. I want to watch you do it. His hand slipped away, and I took over. His gaze never left me. He watched every twitch, every moan, every flicker of pleasure as I moved. But the second I was close again, he couldn't keep his hands to himself anymore. His mouth was on mine, his fingers inside me again, curling and pressing, thumb circling my clit with maddening precision. I thought no kissing, I teased, barely able to speak. Oh, shut up, he said with a grin. It's not like you didn't like it. We laughed into each other's mouths as I began to come, my whole body shuddering, his name slipping between broken moans. But he didn't stop. He kept going. Tapping, circling, pushing again until a second orgasm crested, and then another, my body surrendering to wave after wave. I love watching you come, he whispered, in awe, brushing a hair from my damp forehead. I was boneless, trembling, and dazed, but not done. I rolled us over, gathered what strength I had left, and pushed him flat on his back. My turn, I whispered, lips brushing his ear. He was hard and ready, his breath hitching as I wrapped my fingers around him. I started slow, teasing the head with my fingertips, dragging my index finger around it in slow spirals. His hips jerked slightly. I smiled. I stroked him, hand wrapped fully now, grip switching between light and firm. With my other hand, I gently played with his balls, watching his eyes close and mouth fall open. He was groaning, his body starting to move with mine. "I want to finish inside you," he said, voice rough and thick with lust. "Get on top of me." I stopped immediately, my palm hovering above him, and tilted my head with mock innocence. "Really?" I asked sweetly. He looked up at me, eyes glazed, mouth parted. "Payback?" he guessed. "Exactly," I grinned. He propped himself up on his elbows, breath still uneven. "Are you serious?" I just giggled. And then, to my shock, he stood and walked out of the room without another word. I blinked, stunned. Wait. Was he really upset? Did I actually go too far? I sat there, nerves creeping in. I almost felt my heart sink. Did I ruin the mood? I got out of bed, ready to go after him, to explain, to apologize, something. But the moment I opened the door, he was right there. He grabs me from my waist and we tumble onto the bed. He is laughing although I was almost crying thinking, I upset him. He starts kissing me and wipes a tear that rolled down my cheek. "I didn't mean to make you cry," he said softly, brushing away the tear that had slid down my cheek. "I just wanted to fool you." "You're an idiot," I laughed, half hitting him with a pillow. "But a very sweet one." I kissed him and climbed on top of him, hands on his chest, eyes locked with his. I hovered for a moment, just the tip inside me. "You're a tease," he murmured, amused and completely entranced. I smiled, wicked and full of delight, and then dropped all the way down, hard. He gasped, his hands flying to my waist. "Do it again like that," he groaned. It felt good. "I thought so," I whispered, before kissing him again. Chapter 17. The next morning, he was already awake, waiting for me like a quiet sunrise on the couch. His eyes met mine as I entered the living room, and something in them told me he wanted to talk. I stretched, still warm from the sheets, then padded over to him, kissed his cheek, and nestled beside him on the sofa like it was our daily ritual. "Good morning, you," I said, soft against his neck. "Good morning, Belle," he murmured, running his fingers lightly down my back. "I've been thinking. I want to tell you a bit more about me. I like to travel. Go to festivals. Camp out under the stars. I was wondering, would you join me? If your parents are hesitant, I can talk to them. There's a festival in Germany in a couple of weeks. It could be our first trip." I blinked, surprised but flattered. "First of all, thank you, but there's no need to call my parents. I'm not a child," I smiled, brushing his hair back playfully. "And yes, I'd love to go with you. But secondly, I need to get ready. I start work in an hour." He tilted his head, amused. "You work?" I smirked. "No, of course not. Money grows in pots on my windowsill. Like basil." He laughed, but the corner of his mouth tightened. "I only asked because you haven't mentioned going to work till now. The shop's been closed for renovation." "But yes, I've worked since I was 15. I don't like depending on anyone, not even my parents. They already have enough on their plates." He nodded slowly, taking that in. "So, you're juggling uni and work?" "Yep. Full-time now, when school's off, part-time during term. It's my normal." "That must be hard." I shrugged. "I'm used to it. As I said, been doing this since high school." He looked at me for a long second, and there was admiration in his gaze, quiet, steady. "Will you tell me more later? When you're back? I want to know everything. All the little pieces that make you. You. Deal. I finish at 4. I'll text you when I'm on my way. I'll cook for you. Something nice. How long will it take you to get there and back?" "Just 15 minutes, it's close by, nearby mall." "Perfect. I'll have it ready." He smiled. "You're sweet," I said softly, brushing my fingers down his arm. We kissed, slow and warm, a silent sealing of the day ahead. I turned to get dressed and as I took off my nightshirt, his eyes followed my every move. "Do we have time for something quick?" His voice was light but already thick with want, eyes glinting as he checked the clock and did the math. I looked at him knowingly. "You already know we do." He grinned. "I do." He was on his knees in front of me in seconds, tongue teasing the inside of my thighs, kissing, nibbling. Then, suddenly, his arms wrapped behind my knees and lifted me against the wall, firm and steady. His tongue was deep between my legs, hot and precise, and I reached up blindly for something to hold onto. Anything. A shelf? A ledge? God? I moaned, back arching, already so close when he pulled back, grabbed me, and in a single move, threw me gently onto the bed. He followed, slipping into me the second he landed. No pause. No air. We moved together like fire meeting breath, fast, urgent, beautiful. We came together, moaning into each other's mouths, wrapped in arms, lost in skin. He kissed my temple as I lay breathless beneath him, eyes glittering with satisfaction. And you still have 5 minutes to shower. Ha. You're funny. I rolled my eyes and kissed him one more time before wrapping myself in a sheet and heading for the bathroom. As the water ran over me, I thought about how damn good he was with his mouth. How, with others, oral sex had always felt clumsy. But with him it was art. He knew what he was doing. He knew me. And it was divine. I got to work just in time. Perfect. Chapter 18. This became our rhythm, our quiet, sweet weekday routine. I'd wake around 7:30, always to the same greeting, always in that teasing tone, good morning, sleepyhead. Like I'd overslept by hours. But he'd already been up for ages, 6:30 at the latest. It wasn't about time. It was about the softness in his voice. The warmth that came with those 3 words. The way he made mornings feel like something to look forward to. I'd reach across the bed and find it empty. Always empty. But never cold. He was usually in the other room, either at his laptop, absorbed in a silent rhythm of tapping keys, or in the kitchen with that delicious sound of a blender churning his signature frap. Sometimes I'd hear music playing low, a jazz beat or an old school track, and I'd know he was in one of his moods, focused, productive, content. And God, he had skill. That man could cook like a dream. I was falling. Hard. Madly. Not just because of his touch or how he kissed me like I was something fragile and wild all at once. But because even in the smallest things, in the way he stirred my coffee, in how he folded a napkin, he made everything feel intentional. He always paused his work the moment he heard me shuffle into the room. Breakfast would already be on the table, his heavenly frap poured into a tall glass just for me. No words needed. It was all there in the details. We'd sit down together, knees touching beneath the table, and talk about everything and nothing. What we liked. Who we were. Ideas. Random theories. Philosophy and pizza toppings. But when the conversation brushed too close to anything personal about him, the shutters came down. Our intimacy was growing, body and routine, yes, but with him, the mind was walled off. Every question met with charm, a half-truth, or a deflection. Come on, Setimo, at least answer me that. I can't tell you that. We barely know each other. But we've been seeing each other for months now. You gave me the keys to your place on day 2. We go everywhere together. I practically live here. I only go home to grab more clothes and drop off laundry. You give me your card when I run errands. But I can't even ask what your book is about. Keys and cards are objects. Tools. Information is different. It's power. And privacy. Besides, I've told you, you can put your clothes with mine. I'll wash them. You said, you live here. I sighed. But I hardly know anything about you. You know enough. The rest will come. If we dump our entire souls on the table from the start, what's left to discover? Let mystery live a little. BFFF, I huffed. It's not like I'm getting anything out of you. At least tell me what you're writing about. Promise me something first, he said, looking up from his screen. Promise you'll never read it until it's finished. I promise, I said too quickly. But just a peek? In broad strokes? It's about everything, he said vaguely. About conspiracy, opinions, everything I think. But I won't publish it here. This country won't see a word of it. It'll be everywhere else, but not here. Okay. I said, quietly. Truth be told, I'd been tempted. So many times. The laptop left open, the file there, just waiting. But a promise is a promise. And when I give mine, I keep it, even if curiosity burns in my chest. He stood and walked over, folding me into his arms. He leaned in, brushing his lips on mine, not kissing, not yet, just mapping. He liked to trace my lips with his tongue like he was memorizing them. And then with his thumb, always with his thumb, he'd contour every line, every curve. His touch was a soft ritual, one that always made my skin tingle. After he'd traced the lower lip, he'd press it in gently. I'd catch his thumb between my lips and suck lightly on the tip. It always made him smile, this knowing, crooked smile like he already knew what was next. And what came next was always the same. Slow. Gentle. Burning like incense, like a fire with no rush to consume. We made love like it was poetry. And somehow, we still hadn't said the words. But it was there. In the way he tucked the blanket over my feet in the morning. In the way he remembered how much milk I liked in my coffee. In the way he always left the door unlocked when I was due back from work. We didn't need to say it. Not yet. Chapter 19. It was nearly sunset when he picked me up from work. He was leaning against his car, arms crossed, the soft golden light painting his face like something from a dream. I could see the smile forming even before I stepped out the door. Ready? I nod and smile as I step closer. He opens the passenger door for me, like he always does, and I slide in. I don't know when I started looking forward to this exact moment every day, the second I see him, and something inside me unclenches. We don't go home right away. Instead, he drives toward the park, the big one with the little hill in the path lined with maple trees. The city buzz quiets as we walk side by side down the gravel path, and even though we're surrounded by people, it feels like it's just us. It always does when I'm with him. The air is warm and filled with the scent of grass and fading flowers. The light filters through the trees like honey. He doesn't speak much, and I don't press. We walk in rhythm, sometimes brushing fingers, sometimes letting the breeze fill the silence between us. And as we walk, I can't help the thoughts that begin to gather. He means so much to me. More than I ever expected someone could. And it's not just the way he touches me, or the nights we lose to each other under the sheets. It's how he makes me laugh when I don't want to. How he remembers the smallest details. How he pulls me into his side like I belong there. But still, there's a part of him I can't touch. A room he keeps locked. When I ask questions, real ones, about his past, his family, what keeps him up at night, he deflects, like a magician pulling a coin from behind your ear while hiding the trick in his other hand. He gives pieces, fragments, stories painted in half-light. Enough to keep me near, but never enough to really see. And yet, I stay. Willingly. Because even with the shadows, he's warm. And I'm drawn to him like a moth to flame. We stop near the lake. He sits first on the low bench and pulls me onto his lap, wrapping his arms around me as if I might disappear. He presses his face into the crook of my neck and breathes me in. I close my eyes and rest my head on his shoulder. Long day? He asks quietly. Not really. But definitely better now. He hums. I feel it more than I hear it. We sit there for a while. No rush. No noise. Just the sounds of the world slowing down around us. By the time we get home, the sky is streaked with purples and blues. He holds my hand the whole drive back, fingers laced, squeezing gently at every red light. Inside, the house smells faintly of vanilla and bergamot. Something about it feels safe. We don't turn on the TV. We don't need music. The quiet is enough. We undress each other slowly, like unwrapping something sacred. He kisses me deeply, without speaking, guiding me backward until the back of my knees hit the bed. We fall into each other like it's the first time again. And when his body is pressed against mine, when his mouth trails heat down my throat and across my chest, I realize something. Even if he never lets me all the way in, even if he keeps his secrets, I'll still choose him. Because in his silence, in his touches, in the way he holds me long after we finish like I'm made of something breakable. I feel it. I don't need the words. I feel it. Chapter 20. It was one of those quiet mornings where everything felt unhurried. I had the day off. The sky was that calm kind of gray, and the air inside the apartment smelled faintly like toasted bread and fresh coffee. He had just finished his breakfast when he stood up, brushing crumbs off his shirt. I need to go to a meeting, he said casually while checking his watch. I'll be back in 1 hour or two. I can go home and meet you later, I offered, even though I wasn't in a hurry to leave. No need, he said, already halfway into the bedroom, looking for clothes. Wait for me here. You can put on a movie or something. I promise I'll be quick. He picked out a pale pink shirt, something softer than his usual monochrome, and a pair of dark blue jeans. I watched him from the bed as he buttoned it all the way up to the neck, sliding the hem into his jeans with practiced ease. "What?" he asked, catching my stare and smirking. "Nothing," I replied, shaking my head slightly. "You look good." He grinned, one of those half smiles that always did something to my chest. Then, in one swift move, he pulled me into him, spinning me so that my back was pressed against his chest. His hands moved to cup my breast, the weight of his body pinning me just enough to stir something low in my belly. He kissed my neck, slow at first, and then bent me forward, keeping one hand on my waist, the other unbuttoning his jeans with ease. I could feel him hard already. He slid inside me in a single, confident thrust. There was no build-up, no easing in, no slow rhythm to catch. Just raw, fast, frantic movement. His grip on my shoulders tightened as he pushed deeper and harder, his pace unrelenting. My hands braced against the wall, trying to hold myself steady. It happened so fast I barely had time to register what I was feeling, besides stretched and used. And then he stopped. I felt him pulsing inside me, a sudden stillness overtaking his body. He leaned down, kissed the crown of my head softly like nothing had happened, like that was enough, and then quickly zipped himself up, buttoned his shirt, and was gone. I was still there. Bent. Unfinished. I stood slowly, pulling my shorts back up, a dull ache pulsing low in my belly. Not from pleasure. Just the aftershock of being left open and untouched. I sat on the bed, legs curled underneath me, trying to process the mess of emotions that had just swept through me. It wasn't just the fact that I hadn't finished, though. Yes, that sucked. It was the feeling of being bypassed. Like I was a quick stop on the way to something else. And yet I didn't want to feel angry. I knew he was in a rush. I knew this wasn't malicious. But the ache wasn't just physical. I grabbed the remote and put on a movie. Something light, probably animated. I can't remember. I wasn't really watching anyway. My mind kept going over what happened. Not the act itself, but how it made me feel, dismissed. And then my phone buzzed. "I'll make it up to you when I get home. I miss you already." A soft smile tugged at my lips. It didn't erase the bitter taste entirely, but it helped. A little balm on a minor bruise. Bittersweet. But better. Chapter 21. It wasn't the kind of blowjob you see in movies. I wasn't on my knees, framed like a fantasy. I was just sitting on the edge of the bed, my legs folded underneath me, and he stood in front of me, already half-hardened, looking down at me with that hungry, glassy-eyed stare. I started slow, using both my mouth and my hand, teasing the base while my lips wrapped around the tip. "No hands," he moaned, breath catching in his throat. I let go and continued with just my mouth, taking him deeper each time. I loved how it made him sound, how every flick of my tongue or shift in rhythm tugged new reactions from him. When I looked up at him through my lashes, his eyes were shut tight, mouth parted, chest rising fast. He looked undone. He looked mine. His fingers wove into my hair, not too hard, just firm enough to guide me. Then his hips started moving, slow at first. With each push and pull, his confidence grew, and I let him set the rhythm. My jaw ached, but I didn't care. I liked the way he lost himself in me. Then he stilled. Just for a moment. He gripped my hair tighter, holding me in place, and began to thrust, not cruelly, but deep and fast and raw. I could barely breathe, but that was okay. I knew I could tap out if I needed to. He pulled out just in time and came on my chest, his breath heavy, shaky. His body sagged. He dropped beside me on the bed like he'd just finished a marathon. I stood wordlessly and walked to the bathroom. There was cum on my breasts, some of it in my hair. I washed it off slowly, not mad, just quiet. By the time I came back, towel-wrapped and fresh-faced, he still hadn't moved. "Setimo? You okay?" "Yeah," he mumbled. "Come lie down next to me." I did. He reached out to stroke my shoulder and I curled into him, cheek against his bare chest. "Not in my hair next time, please." "It took forever to get it out," I said quietly. He chuckled, pressing his lips to my temple. "Sorry. I wasn't aiming for your hair. But maybe you should put it up in a bun or something next time." "Couldn't agree more." I smiled and kissed him softly. We stayed like that, just kissing. Gentle. Slow. No pressure. No urgency. Just lips meeting, parting, and finding one another again. I should get back to work, he whispered eventually, reluctantly. I'm off today, I said. I can leave and let you focus. He sat up slightly. Why didn't you say you had the day off? Let me wrap this up quickly, then we'll go to Amakut. I'll make breakfast and something sweet while you work. Delicious. I can't wait. He murmured, kissing my forehead before leaving for the other room. I got to work in the kitchen. Eggs, toast, fruit. I slid the brownies into the oven and waited for the scent of chocolate to bloom. When they did, I smiled to myself. It was nice doing this. Quiet. Domestic. A little slice of something I didn't want to label. He was still working when I peeked in. On the phone. Focused. So, I gave a little wave and mouthed kitchen. He nodded without looking up. Moments later he was with me, sliding into his chair. Looks great. Let's eat. Enjoy, I replied, setting his plate in front of him. After we finished, he stood to help with the dishes, but I stopped him. Go finish your work. I've still got the brownies to frost. You sure? Definitely. He kissed my cheek and went back. I hummed softly to myself as I melted the chocolate topping and drizzled it over the warm, fudgy surface. A little later, while I was watching anime on my phone, he crept up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist, and lifted me up in the air like I weighed nothing. Ah! Don't do that, you scared me. He laughed and kissed my cheek, then lifted me again, this time spinning me toward the bedroom. We can finish what we started this morning. I grinned. We most certainly can. As he laid me down and began to kiss my neck, he whispered against my skin. Do you mind if we go to Amakut tomorrow instead? Maybe just go out for dinner tonight? As long as I'm with you, I don't care where we are. He kissed down to my collarbone. Have I told you how sweet you are? Do tell, please. I teased, breath hitching. You're as sweet as honey. He smiled, lowering the neckline of my shirt and trailing kisses even lower. I moaned softly. And you're mine. He paused and looked up at me, eyes warm. And you're mine. His mouth found my breast and played with it, warm and slow. And I almost said something I wasn't ready to say. I stopped. He didn't ask me to finish. He just smiled and kept kissing me. Later, as I lay beside him, he ran a finger along my side, tracing the curve of my body. I did the same to him, and we stared into each other like we were trying to memorize the map of one another's souls. You are my heart's souvenir, I whispered against his ear. And always will be. He took a moment. Then murmured, you have a place in my heart too, Belle. My Bella. He kissed me, deeply, tenderly. As if to make sure I understood without needing more words. He stayed with me afterward, holding me close. Not rushing for the shower. Not checking his phone. Just us. Wrapped up in warmth and silence. Then the silence broke. It's already 7, he whispered. We're going to be late for our reservation. What reservation? I blinked. You forgot we're going out for dinner? I didn't forget, I just didn't think we'd need a reservation. I blinked again. Where are we going? He stood, walked to the wardrobe, and pulled out a large box. I sat upright, confused, still wrapped in the bedsheet. When I opened the box, I gasped. A black silk dress, floor length, open back, elegance stitched into every seam. I hope you like it. It's gorgeous. You shouldn't have. I wanted to. Here, let me help you. He zipped me up, kissing the nape of my neck softly. I turned and looked at him, still struggling for words. You look stunning, Belle, he said with that same warm look he gave me when he watched me wake up. I didn't speak. I kissed him. Long. Deep. We left for dinner dressed like we were heading somewhere important. And maybe we were. We got back late, stripped the elegance away, and curled under the sheets like we belonged nowhere else. Chapter 22. The next few days passed like sand slipping through our fingers, too fast, too quiet, too full of everything and nothing all at once. We both worked, but Setimo was drowning in his. Not just busy, exceptionally busy. He was locked in a rhythm of meetings, deadlines, writing, and phone calls, the hum of work echoing constantly in the apartment. The kind of busy that felt like I had to tiptoe around his thoughts, not to disturb the balance. I knew he wasn't ignoring me. I knew. But still, that space between us grew, almost imperceptibly, one quiet hour at a time. We carved out slivers of time where we could, mornings over coffee, breakfast always waiting for me even if he was already tapping away at his keyboard. We'd sit, sometime talking, sometimes just holding hands across the table while sipping our fraps, his hand reaching to brush a stray hair from my face like it was habit, like it was home. Evenings were better. We'd always have dinner together. He insisted. No matter how swamped he was, that was ours. He'd close his laptop, put his phone on silent, and look at me like I was the world. We'd eat quietly most nights, sometimes joking, sometimes dreaming aloud about travel or things we'd cook together next. But often, there was this haze of exhaustion in his eyes, the kind that sinks deep into the bones. And I hated to see him like that. After dinner, he'd return to his work, just for a little while, he would say. But a little while often meant hours. I would watch something on my phone or read a book on the couch until he'd finally come to bed, stretching like a worn-out cat and dropping beside me with a tired smile. And still, even in his exhaustion, he reached for me. We would talk, snuggled into one another in the dark, voices soft and honest. He would ask how my day had been. He never forgot to ask. He wanted to know, even if he looked like he could barely keep his eyes open. Most nights, we had sex. Not out of obligation or routine, but because our bodies still ached for each other, still remembered every kiss like it had just happened. But it was gentler, slower, sometimes ending with him whispering apologies for being so tired, or kissing my forehead and whispering, "Tomorrow, I'll give you more of me." But I didn't need more. I needed him, rested, healthy, whole. I told him that one night as we lay tangled in each other, his hand resting on my stomach, fingers moving absently like he was drawing something invisible. "You don't always have to try so hard," I whispered. "I want to," he replied without hesitation. "You deserve it. You deserve all of it. You deserve rest too." He smiled softly, eyes still closed. "I rest better with you next to me." And yet, despite the kisses and the warmth and the weight of his arm over my waist, something had shifted. Just a little. Like a door left slightly ajar. I told myself it was just a busy week. But still. I missed him. Even when he was right beside me. Chapter 23. One evening, after dinner, he brings me his laptop with a smile, a soft kind of closeness. "Can you get a movie or something for us to watch? Maybe a comedy, or if you want something romantic, so be it. I'll go take a shower." It was terribly hot today. "Sure," I say, already walking toward the couch with it. "I'll have it ready by the time you finish." I settle down, lift the lid, and tap the space bar. "Please insert password." "Setimo." I call out, but the sound of water drowns my voice. The shower's already on, and I know him well enough by now. He's humming in there, gone to his own world. So, I get up and walk to the bathroom door. "Hey, password." He peeks out from behind the curtain, hair slicked and eyes bright. "It's the thing I showed you at dinner the other day, remember?" I smile and nod like I do, even though I don't. He tells me again, and I head back. When the login screen fades and the desktop appears, something catches my eye. His laptop's name, Flavia. I freeze for a second. Just a name, right? Huh. I scroll through the folders and quickly download American Pie. A safe choice, mindless, funny, no emotional entanglements. Just what I need right now. He walks out a few minutes later, damp curls resting on his forehead, towel draped low on his hips, and leans in the doorway, his usual smirk in place. "Did you find anything?" "Yes," I say. "But, since I'm a very curious person, I need to ask, who's Flavia?" His eyes shift, just a beat. "Oh. You noticed that?" He chuckles, too quickly. "She's my ex-girlfriend. From a while ago." "Ah," I reply casually, almost too casually. "And yet, your laptop still bears her name. Are you jealous?" "No," I smile tightly. "Just curious. She installed my Windows and wrote her name. Happy now?" I give him a look. "Bullshit. Really?" Not that I say this out loud, he shrugs. "It's just a name. Doesn't mean anything. You do know you can change the name easily, right?" "No, I didn't. I'm not an expert. I can show you how, if you want." "It doesn't bother me," he says, grabbing a t-shirt from the chair and tossing the towel to the floor. "If it bothers you, change it to whatever you like. You said you can, right? But I don't." I say nothing. And I don't touch the name. He's clearly annoyed. I'm not sure if it's with me, or himself, or that I noticed. Maybe all three. I close the laptop gently and walk to the kitchen, pour myself a glass of orange juice. The coldness doesn't help. Something unspoken hangs in the air, and it stirs the already thin layer of calm between us. I take the longest sip I can manage, finish the glass, and disappear into the bathroom for a shower. Maybe the water will cool me down too. The knock on the door is soft at first. I ignore it. Then he opens it anyway. The steam spills out and so does the tension. He looks at me. He opens his mouth like he wants to explain something, or maybe apologize, or brush it off like always. But I don't let him speak. Instead, I reach forward, pull him by the wrist, and drag him gently into the shower with me. The moment he steps in, it's like we've both decided to forget whatever was lingering between us. The hot water rushes over us as I press my lips to his. There's no hesitation. His hands are on my hips, mine tangle in his still damp curls. He leans in closer, his forehead against mine, breathing through his nose as our lips hover, teasing. He lifts me, his palms firm under my thighs, and presses my back to the slick tile. The water streams down my spine, the heat mingling with the pulse under my skin. He kisses me like he's trying to drown the discomfort we both felt 5 minutes ago, like kissing could wash away the name I read. My legs wrap around him on instinct. His grip tightens. He presses his body to mine, and in that moment it feels like everything melts, the silence, the question, the flicker of doubt. He doesn't speak again. Neither do I. The only sound between us is the echo of water and the quiet, shared ache for closeness, something we're trying so hard to keep real. Chapter 24. Our relationship was good. Not perfect, not even particularly balanced, but good in a way that felt addictive. It wasn't built on endless conversations or late-night revelations, though I often wished it were. Setimo didn't talk much. Not about himself anyway. He asked questions, always asking about my day at work, my courses at university, about my family, about my childhood, and I answered, openly and eagerly, like I was giving him pieces of me in soft handfuls. But when it came to him, he stayed guarded, like the most beautiful book with the pages glued shut. I knew so little about the man I was practically living with. Still, we connected. God, did we connect? Physically, emotionally, in gestures, he could be all affection and sweetness when he wanted to. But it was through touch more than words. It was a lot of sex. Not just frequent, but intense, magnetic, tender one moment and wild the next. He knew my body like a favorite poem and touched me like someone who couldn't get enough of reading it again and again. He had told me a few things, scattered in quiet moments when I wasn't really asking. That he had a little brother whom he loved dearly. That his mother was strong and shaped much of who he is. That he came from another county and had long called the capital home. And that was it. He said we had a lot in common. We liked the same food, the same kind of films, the same quiet between city noise. We even went to the same university, though years apart. But when it came to the marrow of his past, the stories that shape someone's soul, he never shared. He never offered. And when I asked, he'd always find a way to gently, masterfully dodge. Setimo was married, but not to a person. He was married to his work. To the screen that lit his face long into the night. To the endless stream of tasks, the late emails, the projects that only he understood. That devotion was a rival I couldn't fight with. I was there, living with him in moments. But I was not his first priority. I wasn't sure I was even in the top 3. Still, I stayed. Because when he gave beautifully. And I had fallen for the way he touched me, the way he smiled when he didn't know I was watching, the way he kissed my forehead after making me coffee and said I hope you dreamt sweet things. He had opinions about everything, sometimes strong ones. Especially when it came to how a person should care for their body. I have a tattoo on my left shoulder. Just one. But he noticed it the moment it peeked from under a strap or shirt sleeve. And while he always said he liked it, he never really approved. He'd often look at it and say, your body is your temple, you can't ruin it with tattoos. It was the same with fizzy drinks, fast food, and processed sweets. Temple was his key word. A body had to be sacred, he believed. Pure. And me? I always replied the same way. My body is my story, and my skin is a sheet waiting to be written. It annoyed him. I saw it in the twitch of his jaw, in the way he exhaled and looked away. But everyone's entitled to an opinion, and that was mine. That answer became our quiet little ritual. Almost like a line in a script we both knew by heart. He'd say his temple phrase, I'd respond with my story metaphor, and he'd go silent for a beat before changing the subject. We had this exchange more than twice a week, every time my shoulder was bare, every time his gaze drifted there. Strangely, though, never when we were naked in bed. Not in those moments of tangled limbs and heavy breathing. Not in the dark, when our skin touched and our mouths whispered things louder than words. There, my tattoo didn't seem to exist. There, we were just bodies, wanting, needing, giving. Despite that one minor disagreement, and a few other soft bumps in the road, we liked each other's company. We lived well together. Comfortably. Predictably, even. But sometimes, I wondered if the things left unsaid would eventually become too loud to ignore. Chapter 25. Another busy week. One of the busiest, actually. He was buried in work from the moment his eyes opened to well after dinner most nights. His laptop had practically fused with the kitchen table, and the sound of his typing became the new background to my mornings. I'd wake up to find him already deep in something, laptop open, coffee half drunk, jaw tight in concentration. He looked like he carried the weight of 100 thoughts all at once. Some nights, his shoulders sagged as if gravity had changed just for him. And still, he made time for me. Without fail. That part never changed. Even if he only paused for 10 minutes between a project and a phone call, he'd close his laptop, take my hand, and kiss it. Even if his eyes looked distant, like they were still chasing something on a screen I couldn't see, he'd still ask, "How was your day?" And he'd listen. Really listen. Even if he fell asleep seconds after his head hit the pillow, he'd always kiss my forehead first and murmur, "I'm glad you're here." I could see it, though, how hard he was trying to keep his head above water. His voice was softer, but the exhaustion cracked around the edges. He barely smiled the same way he used to. His laugh, when it came, was quiet and brief, not the full one that used to fill the room. He was still the gentleman. Still the man who made me coffee and remembered how I liked it, who left the bathroom mirror clean when he shaved, who folded my laundry when I wasn't looking. He still gave the little things that meant the world. But I could feel the toll it was taking on him. "Let me help," I would say almost every day. He would pull me into a hug, kiss the top of my head, and answer in that soft, worn-out voice of his, "Just be here, Belle. That's all I need. Your hugs, your kisses. It's enough. More than enough." But it didn't feel like enough. I'd sit beside him, trying not to be a distraction. I'd read a book, scroll endlessly through my phone, sometimes just watch him work. His eyes moving quickly across the screen, his fingers tapping rhythmically. He'd occasionally glance up at me with tired eyes and that half-smile I loved so much, the one that said "I see you." I knew he was doing his best. I also knew he was burning the candle at both ends. He would still come to bed late, slip in quietly so as not to wake me, but I was never really asleep. I could hear the sigh he'd let out when he thought I wasn't listening, the way he'd press his forehead to the pillow like he was begging it to take the weight off his mind. Some nights, I'd wrap my arms around him and he'd kiss them softly, whispering, "Thank you." And I would whisper back, "I'm not going anywhere." But part of me wondered if he even heard me through the fog of his tiredness. He was slipping into himself more and more, just slightly. Not shutting me out, not yet. But I could feel a shift. And it scared me, how much I cared. How much I needed him to not collapse under the pressure. How much I needed to feel chosen, not just loved in passing between deadlines. He was sweet. Always. And forever, if he let himself be. But sweetness can't always carry the weight of the world. And I was starting to worry that maybe, just maybe, he was trying to carry too much without letting me in. Chapter 26. One late evening, the heat of the day still clinging to the walls, I found myself on all fours, his body pressing against mine, hard and insistent. He was fucking me from behind, fast and deep, his pace more feral than usual. Each thrust landed sharp, intense, like he was chasing something just out of reach. He kept slapping my ass, firm, stinging hits that made my skin prickle. Some of them were heavier than he probably intended. Every time I tried to turn my head to look at him, to read his eyes, his hand was in my hair, pulling me down, keeping me where he needed me, head low, ass high. He was breathing hard, like he was running from something invisible. Or toward it. He pulled out completely and shoved himself back in with a harsh, bone-jarring thrust. Again. And again. The air started building inside me, strange and uncomfortable, until I gasped and tried to move forward, just to breathe. The sound of the air escaping was loud, and I flushed, mortified. I didn't like it. But he didn't seem to notice. Or maybe he did, but couldn't stop. He grabbed my hips again, steadying me as the last of the air left my body. Then he pushed me flat, lying belly down, his weight pressing into my thighs, his dick trailing the curve of my ass. His movements were unfiltered now, driven more by tension than desire. He began slapping my ass again, sharply, rhythmically. His hands were rough as he grabbed and spread me wide, thumbs pressed into the space between, kneading, circling, almost distractedly, like he was trying to force himself into control. It started to sting. My body twitched involuntarily. Setimo. I called his name, more in question than protest. S-H-H-H-H. Don't worry. His voice was low, but different. Flat. Controlled. He let go, only to spank me again. My skin burned from the friction. Then came his fingers, sliding gently, at first. Pressing in, circling, deeper. I clenched my jaw, more from discomfort than pain. He moved erratically, almost mechanically, as if his hands were acting on a script his mind wasn't really reading anymore. And then, his body again, trying to push in, breath ragged, a frustrated sigh escaping his lips as he struggled to fit. He slid his finger in again, aligned himself, and with one push he was halfway in alongside his finger. I groaned. The stretch was sharp, not eased. He pulled the finger out and thrust himself fully in. It burned. It really burned. He paused, his weight holding me in place. Just give it a minute. The pain will pass, he whispered, gently now, stroking my back. I won't move until you tell me to. I lay there, body taut, trying to breathe through it. Slowly, the pain receded, leaving only a dull ache. I told him I was okay. He started to move again, slowly at first, then gradually faster. His hands found mine, our fingers locking together. His weight pressed over me, his body humming with quiet exhaustion. Every push was heavy, deliberate. His rhythm was relentless, almost compulsive. And then he stopped. Still inside me, completely covering me, breathing hard against my neck. He wasn't speaking. Just holding. Eventually, he turned me on my back and leaned down to kiss me. Are you okay? Does it hurt? He asked softly. My ass is still stinging from all the spanking, but I'm fine. It just didn't feel like last time. You were definitely not gentle, almost as if you didn't care. Are you okay? Really okay? He hesitated, then exhaled. I'm sorry I was rough. I had a stressful day today. I tried to lighten the moment. No shit. His response was sudden, strangely formal. Language, please. It's not nice for a lady to use those words. My mouth dropped open. What the hell was that? But before I could say anything, he was already walking to the bathroom. I followed him, confused and a little stunned, but also worried. He showered in silence while I stood under the spray a few minutes after, letting the water hit my face as the weight of everything started to settle on my chest. He went to the kitchen and I crawled into bed first. I expected distance. Maybe coldness. Maybe more silence. But when he returned, he said nothing. He just curled up against me, tucking himself into my chest like something had broken quietly inside him. I wrapped my arms around him and rested my chin on his head. I'm really happy you're here with me, he mumbled, voice barely above a whisper. I kissed the top of his head, hugged him tighter. I'm sorry for earlier. I care about you. You know that, right? I know, I whispered. I know. And I kissed him again, and again, until his breathing slowed and the heaviness melted into sleep. He slept in my arms the whole night. I didn't dare move, not because I couldn't, but because I didn't want to. I didn't want to risk even a millimeter of distance. It was the first time he told so openly me that he cared about me, especially without me saying it first. And I held onto it, tightly. Because deep down, I knew how much that sentence had cost him to say. Chapter 27. As I was coming back from work the next day, he called. Meet me at the supermarket? He was waiting for me just outside the entrance, leaning against the metal rail with a lazy half-smile. Hey, he said, and he pulled me into a hug, then kissed me like he hadn't seen me in days, not hours. I melted a little. That's what he did to me. That's what he always did. I missed you, he murmured. The fridge is looking pretty sad, so I thought maybe we could do a bit of shopping together. Sure, I smiled. Sorry if you waited. Hope it wasn't long? He shook his head. Nah, I just got here as you were crossing the road. Actually, I wanted to ask you something. Do you know how to make sour cherry liquor? A fail-proof recipe? I blinked. My aunt has a good one. Just 3 ingredients. It's kind of legendary in my family. Perfect. Please get it for me? Today, if possible. I already texted her. Just waiting for the reply. He grinned and gave me a soft squeeze round the waist. You're amazing. We continued walking down the aisles, sharing glances and small smiles. His fingers brushed mine as he reached for fruit, a loaf of bread, a pack of yogurt. The small gestures felt like more than they were. When we got back to the flat, I received the recipe and detailed instructions. While I waited with the bags, he ran back into the store to grab what we needed, sugar and vodka, and lots of both. After dinner, we got to work. The cherries were deep crimson, ripe and soft, and pitting them was messy business. Our hands stained red, we stood at the counter, music playing low in the background. The windows were cracked open to let the warm breeze in. At some point, he flicked a cherry at me, laughing when it bounced off my shoulder. I retaliated by smudging some juice across his cheek, which turned into a game of light touches and sticky red fingerprints. You've got juice on your nose, I told him. So do you. And your neck. And you're, okay, truce, I laughed. We poured the cherries into bottles, layered in sugar, and filled them to the brim with vodka. He sealed the jars with an almost ritualistic reverence, as if we were bottling a little piece of something sacred. They'll need at least 4 to 6 weeks, I said, wiping my hands on a towel. But I never got to taste it. It was late by the time we finished, and the whole flat smelled faintly of cherries and alcohol. I noticed I had juice streaks on my face and neck, sticky and sweet, so I headed to the shower while he waited for me in bed. Chapter 28. He got sick. Just a cold, technically, but it hit him harder than expected. Body aches, a low fever, congestion, and that dull haze that makes even standing up feel like lifting mountains. I'm fine, he kept saying, half sitting on the edge of the couch like he might do something useful any second now. I can take care of myself. Been doing it since I was 15. But his voice was raw, and when he moved, he winced. He looked like hell. Yeah? I said, tugging the blanket over his lap again. And yet you're barely able to walk to the bathroom without swaying like a tree in the wind. I don't need to be coddled, he added gruffly. Good. Lucky for you, I don't coddle. I smiled. I take over entirely. He didn't argue after that, at least not out loud. His face still tried to hold on to some mask of independence, some thin layer of I've got this. But I saw through it. And I didn't ask permission. I brewed tea with honey and ginger, placed cool cloths on his forehead when the fever spiked, rubbed menthol on his chest and under his nose. I even read aloud to him once, some silly magazine I found lying around just to make him smile. He didn't laugh, but his lips twitched, just enough. At night, he'd still try to sit up when I'd brought him medicine, or thank me instead of letting himself receive. And when I kissed his cheek and tucked him in like something precious, he'd whisper with a kind of embarrassed affection, "You're too good to me." The next morning, without fail, he'd try to play tough again. Pretend he was already back to normal. Refuse the soup until I left it on the nightstand and walked away. But something shifted that week. I know, he saw it. The way I cared for him without needing anything back. The way I didn't flinch at his weakness. I think it scared him. Because it made something undeniable clear, that I really, truly loved him. And he never said it, but I felt it, the distance settling in behind his thank yous and soft smiles. A quiet, invisible step back. Like he knew now, without question, what he meant to me. And maybe that's exactly what pushed him away. Chapter 29. Time passed so fast, and we were enjoying each other's company like we were stitched together by the same thread. I practically lived with him by now. His place felt like home, and somehow, he'd started to feel it too. Yes, he had long workdays, sometimes barely enough time to eat or breathe, but I was there, waiting. Always waiting. And every time he finished early, we'd go somewhere, anywhere. No plan, no prep. Just escape. A mountain road in the middle of the night, a last-minute drive to the sea. That was us. Chaotic, unstructured, magnetic. We clicked on every level, physical, mental, emotional. It felt effortless, like a kind of destiny. Until the night I told him I cared very much about him. Not I love you. Just care. And that was the moment everything fell apart. Deep inside he knew it, but I was pushing it to the surface now. Even if it wasn't I love you, he knew those words would come soon. We had dinner, like always, quiet, familiar. But something about him felt far away. Like he was already halfway out the door, and I was just catching the echo. "Excuse me for a bit, I need to do something related to work," he said after the last bite, already reaching for his phone. I watched him disappear down the hall, my chest tight with something I didn't yet understand. He came to bed late that night. I was still awake, staring at the ceiling, waiting. Hoping. "You're still awake?" he said, surprised, as if I ever wasn't when he was like this. "Yes. Is everything okay? You seem off." "Work, actually," he said, avoiding my eyes. "I have to go to where the limited is tomorrow morning. It'll take just a day or two to get everything done. I'll take you home in the morning and call you when I get back. Hope that's fine by you." "Of course." I swallowed the unease curling in my throat. He leaned in and kissed me, gently, slowly, and whispered against my lips, "I care about you too. More than I would want to." I should have asked him what that meant, but he was already pulling me in, already kissing me again like it was the last time. And maybe. I knew it was. The sex that night was different. Slow. Lingering. We didn't change positions. We didn't speak. It felt like a goodbye masked as something intimate. It would have meant, if it wasn't already too late. The next morning, we had breakfast in silence. He drove me home, kissed me softly, and left. 3 days passed. Nothing. Not a single text. I messaged him a few times, even called once, nothing. Until finally, on the 4th day, he called. "I'm back. Can we meet up for a bit? Not come over, not I missed you, not let's talk. Just meet up." I knew. We sat on a small wooden bench near the station, not far from my place. He didn't even ask me to come to his. And the moment I saw his face, I felt the floor tilt beneath me. He kissed me, stroked my face. Tender. Too tender. "Something's wrong," I whispered. And he nodded. "It's best if we end things between us." "Why? Did I say something? Did I do anything wrong?" "Number. It's not that. But it would hurt less now. If we continue, it'll be harder. More painful. But if you want to continue, then why not? I still want to be with you." My voice broke and so did I. The tears came without warning. "I want to," he said, and my heart cracked in two, "but I'll end up hurting you. I have to work even more from now on. I won't have time for you. But I won't mind." "I don't mind. You say that now. But you'll suffer because of me. I'm married to my work, Belle. And I can't be what you need. Do I get a say in this? Or are you just going to decide what's best for me?" "You don't," he said gently. "Trust me. It's better this way. You deserve someone who'll be someone who can love you the way you deserve. But I want you." I collapsed into his arms, sobbing. He held me. Rocked me. Kissed the top of my head like it was a goodbye lullaby. "I'm doing this because I care," he whispered. "If I didn't, I'd keep you. I'd keep you for the sex, the comfort. And that would be wrong. You mean more than that to me, so much more. You always have." I couldn't speak through the tears. "I care about you too," I managed finally, "more than I'll ever say." "I know," he said softly, brushing a tear from my cheek. We kissed. One last kiss. Gentle, slow, final. Then we stood. And without another word, we walked in opposite directions. He never looked back. But I still feel that kiss like it's pressed into my skin. Chapter 30. I was hurt. Definitely hurt. And pissed. And utterly, hopelessly heartbroken. He walked away. Not with cruelty. Not with anger. But with something far worse, gentleness. Like leaving me was a kindness. And maybe it was. But it didn't feel like kindness. It felt like bleeding out slowly under warm hands. Like being held while you're gutted. I still wanted him. God, I still loved him. And I think he knew that. I think he knew exactly how much. Because he never once asked if I loved him. And I never said the words. But the way I looked at him in the quiet after sex, The way I cooked for him, stroked his hair when he was tired, the way I stayed, even when he gave me so little of himself. It was all there. In every glance. In every touch. In the way I never left, even when I should have. He had to work. Fine. I would have been there. For him. With him. Through the long days, the late nights, the silences. I didn't need the spotlight. I didn't need the pedestal. I just needed a place next to him. But he couldn't give me that. Not then. He thought he was protecting me. Maybe he was. Maybe his silence, his distance, the break, it was his way of sparing me. Because he knew he couldn't make me the number one priority. Not with the weight of his career on his back. Not with the goals, the deadlines, the expectations he dragged behind him like chains. And because he respected me. Because somewhere in him, he truly cared, he let me go before I would feel like I was constantly coming second. He walked away, not because he didn't want me, but because he didn't want to see me diminish myself for him. But it still hurt like hell. It felt like standing barefoot on broken glass and being told it's for my own good. What we had was beautiful. Wild. Sweet. Whole. It wasn't just sex, it was warmth and safety and joy. It was mornings with his coffee, and nights tangled in his arms. It was laughter in the kitchen and arguments over movies and driving to the beach in the middle of the night just to see the sun rise. It was real. And that's what made it unbearable to lose. I wanted more of him. So much more. I wanted his scars. His truths. His past. His future. Instead, I got silence. No final fight. No slam door. Just the soft close of a chapter one didn't want to finish reading. I kept checking my phone for days, then weeks. Not because I thought he would come back, but because my soul hadn't caught up with reality yet. I thought we were more. And maybe we were. But even love isn't always enough to rewrite someone else's priorities. And even love can sometimes look like goodbye. Chapter 31. But fate would bring us together one more time. Epilogue. So, imagine me 3 months later when I hear my phone ringing and it's his ringtone. Yes, I'm still the kind of person who assigns a specific sound to every name in my phone book, because I like knowing who's about to break my heart before I even pick up. My stomach flipped, and before my mind could process that melody, it was him. My heart skipped a beat. Then stumbled. And for a moment, I just stared at the screen, breath caught somewhere between my ribs and my throat. Ciao Bella. His voice. Unchanged. Warm. Familiar in the worst possible way. And just like that, the months I spent learning how to sleep again, to eat again, to breathe without tasting his name, they unraveled. I was happy. And I was furious. Happy, because a part of me still loved him, maybe always would. Mad, because I had only just begun to quiet the storm he left behind. Mad because I just managed to pass the being awake at night sobbing his name and thinking, is it that bad to fall in love with me? Would it have been that bad to love me? Or was I so unfit for your wild circles? Because when we were alone, we seemed to be in sync with everything, from dusk till dawn and from dawn till dusk. Was it really so terrible to love me? Was I too much? Not enough? And now here he was, again. I answered. I don't even remember hitting the screen, but suddenly, the call was Liv. Hey Setimo. I heard myself say, half smiling. But inside? Inside I was already crumbling. And my heart, my foolish, traitorous heart, was already halfway to forgiveness. The end. Still yours. Book 2 -- by Lissafi. Prologue. Setimo. It's ringing. She didn't block my number. That fact alone knocks the breath from my lungs. My thumb hovers just above the phone, still half convinced this was a mistake. Too soon. Too late. Or worse, pointless. But I miss her. God, I missed her this whole time. In every silence, every night I came home to an empty flat that used to smell like her shampoo, she was there. The echo of her. The absence of her. I shouldn't have waited this long. I should have said something sooner, anything, but I didn't know if I had the right. Or if I could handle hearing her voice not belong to me anymore. Still ringing. Maybe I should have texted. Less invasive. Less desperate. Less. Everything I actually feel. I was never good at this, emotional honesty. She always said I dodged feelings like they were bullets. Hey Setimo. I freeze. Her voice. That soft exhale tucked behind my name, like she's smiling. Or at least not angry. She answered. She actually answered. I didn't think this far ahead. Didn't think I'd get this far. Where are you? The words tumble out, instinct over logic. Regret curls around them instantly. That used to be my go-to when we were still. Whatever we were. Back then, I was always picking her up, meeting her halfway. Now, it just sounds misplaced. Entitled. I'm heading home, she says. Uni finished early today, so I stopped by the library for some books for my dissertation. Now I'm going home. How about you? Her tone is light. Controlled. Not cold, not warm. Somewhere in that neutral place where people go when they're trying not to give away too much. I'm away at the moment. Work. But I'll be back later this evening, and I was wondering. Do you want to go to the cinema? Catch something together? A beat. Sure, she says. Any movie in mind? I'm not sure what's on right now. But I'll be back pretty late, so maybe something after 10. Would you mind checking and picking one? Text me? Sure. I'm almost home. I'll text you in a bit. See you tonight, then. The call ends. And just like that, my hands are shaking. My heart beats like a drum, wild and relentless, louder than it should be. Louder than thunder. She said yes. Tonight. I'll see her. And maybe, just maybe, this time, I'll say the right things. Chapter 1. Belle. I turn the key and push the door open, stepping in just far enough to let it slam shut behind me before I crashed down onto the floor. What the fuck was that? What the actual fuck? My heart is clawing its way up my throat like it wants to make a run for it. I press my hand flat to my chest, trying to make it stop, trying to calm the chaos enough to breathe. Why? Why did he call? Why now, when I've finally stitched myself back together well enough to breathe without tasting him? Why does he get to come back now? Breathe. Just breathe. I sit there, back against the door, until the worst of it passes. My legs still feel weak. Like they don't trust this situation either. I drag myself up, unpack the books and the groceries, put everything in its place, even if I'm not in mine. I open the laptop. Type in the cinema listings. Why am I doing this? Why did I say yes? Why do I always say yes when it comes to him? There's only one showing left. 21:30. It's too early for him. I've already seen the movie, it was a train wreck, but I text him the info anyway. His reply comes almost immediately. I'm sorry I can't make it earlier. But we could always have a hot chocolate and see the movie at my place if you don't mind. My pulse spikes. Again. Number. Say number. Say not tonight. Say I'm busy. Say anything that isn't bending to him again like a reed in the wind. But my fingers don't listen. My heart speaks a language they still understand. I'll come to your place. Let me know what time suits you. I stare at the screen, willing myself to shut it down, to walk away. Another ping. I'll pick you up, just send me the address. Great. I blame it on my heart. But at least let me have some edge, not that desperate yes I want you. Talk back, be more edgy, act distant. I text back I'm good thanks, I'll just come to your place, let me know what time suits you. I don't mind picking you up, you know? I want to scream. At him. At me. At this fucking gravitational pull I can't seem to unhook from. What time should I be there? 10 p.m. I exhale. Damn. That was hard. Harder than it should have been. Why am I like this? I don't care, I don't want to, I can't go through the same thing all over again, it hurt too much, I don't want to feel that ever again. I don't want to go. But I do. And I hate that about myself. I'm not going because I want to. I'm going because I still can't say no to the ghost of him. Chapter 2. Belle. It's already evening, the sky melting into night. I glance at my phone, 21:30. I should probably get dressed. I throw on an oversized t-shirt and my favorite pair of jeans, the kind that hang just right but don't try too hard. I head out, walking towards the train station with that nervous flutter building in my stomach. Half dread. Half adrenaline. I get there just a few minutes after 10. Close enough. I buzz the intercom to his apartment. No answer. I text him. His reply comes quickly. Sorry, traffic. I'll be there shortly. Of course. That's fine. It's fine. I sit down on the stairs and pull out my phone, aimlessly scrolling, pretending I'm not counting the seconds. 10 minutes. 15. 20. The air is starting to cool, and I'm starting to regret not being fashionably late. Or just not showing up. Then I see headlights. His car pulls up to the curb. He steps out, slightly breathless. "I'm so sorry you had to wait for me." I offer the safest, most neutral answer I can find. "No worries." We walk in silence toward the building. The kind of silence that hums too loud in your ears, where every footstep sounds like it echoes through something unfinished. He holds the door for me. We step inside. The lift ride is awkward. Neither of us speaks. When we reach his place, I take my shoes off and drift instinctively toward the kitchen. He follows. "I forgot to buy the hot chocolate," he says, running a hand through his hair. "I'll go grab it quickly. Just wait here, okay?" He gestures to the kitchen chair and I sit. I don't know what else to do. And then he leans in and kisses both my cheeks, soft, polite, restrained, and before I can process it, he's out the door. I blink. What was that? Setimo, stoic, careful, infuriatingly composed, just kissed me like I'm a neighbor dropping by with soup. Not like the girl he used to press into mattresses and mutter secrets against. Okay. Maybe that's the point. Maybe this is what he wants. Just friends. Okay. Sure. I keep telling myself that. Like I believe it. Chapter 3. Setimo. I'm such an idiot. Chapter 4. Belle. I hear the door unlock and seconds later he walks in, triumphant, holding a pack of dark hot chocolate like it's a trophy. He catches my eye and smiles, a bit sheepishly. I must have one in return, but I know it doesn't reach my eyes. There's too much written on my face, more than I'd like him to see. Are you okay? He asks, genuine concern threading his voice. Lost in thought, that's all. He busies himself making 2 mugs, the silence between us thick and uneasy. I sit at the table, watching his hands more than his face, but every so often I catch a glimpse of him glancing at me, too quickly, too quietly. He places a steaming mug in front of me. Here. Thanks. We drink in silence. The warmth doesn't reach me. I try not to look at him, but I can feel it. His eyes, tracing every move I make. Is it longing I see? Regret? Or am I making it all up again? Stop it, Belle. Stop writing stories in your head. He breaks the silence, tentative. What movie do you want to watch? You can pick whatever you want. My voice is flat, neutral, distant. He hesitates. Come on, don't be like this. I really am sorry you had to wait outside. I couldn't have known they'd shut down a whole lane because of a car crash. I set the mug down, too fast. Are you serious right now? You think that's what this is about? The words slip before I can hold them back, sharp enough to cut. He looks startled but not angry. Tell me, he says gently. You know you can talk to me. About anything. If it's not too personal for you. I mumble under my breath, quiet enough that maybe he didn't hear it. Or maybe he just chose not to. I'm sorry, he says again. And this time, it's softer. More than just words. His hand slides over mine, fingertips warm, hesitant. I blink and take a breath. I'm sorry too. I didn't mean to snap. I'm actually. My throat catches. I'm glad I got to see you again. I stand up before he can respond, sweeping the moment away. We're not watching the movie in the kitchen, are we? He follows me to the living room, but the distance between us, emotional, unspoken, razor thin, still hangs heavy in the air. Chapter 5. Setimo. She settles on the couch, tucking herself in the corner like she's trying to fold into herself. She says nothing, just watches as I set up the laptop and find the movie. I forgot how much I loved seeing her here, how natural it felt to have her in my space, like the walls knew her scent and the light bent different when she was near. I press play and sit next to her, leaving a little distance. She keeps it. I feel her caution like a wall between us. She probably hates me. Or worse, she doesn't hate me, and still won't let me close again. But I miss her. God, I miss her. So I take the chance. I wrap my arm around her shoulders. She tenses for a moment, startled, but she doesn't pull away. After a beat, she shifts just slightly, resting her head on my shoulder. Her body curves toward mine like it remembers how we used to fit. I don't move. I just breathe. I don't want to spook her, but I can't stop staring. My eyes trace her profile, every curve of her face. I kiss the top of her head, slow, reverent. Then I squeeze her gently, and she looks up. And I'm gone. Those big brown eyes, fuck. I could drown in them and thank her for the privilege. I lean in and kiss her, soft and tentative, not sure if I'm allowed to want this anymore. She kisses me back. Everything melts. I deepen the kiss. She doesn't pull away. My hands remember her waist, her back, the little shiver that always came when I reached the base of her neck. The movie fades into static noise. All that matters is her. I scoop her up into my arms. She doesn't say anything, just buries her face in my neck. I walk us to the bedroom like we're sleepwalking through a dream we once had and never quite woke from. The light is soft, shadows stretching across the walls like they remember us too. I lay her gently on the bed and climb in beside her. Still no words. Just breath and skin. I kiss her again, this time slower. My hands move with care, not urgency. She doesn't rush either. Our clothes come off gradually, like they're being peeled away by memory. We move together like a song we once knew by heart. Her body arches into mine, welcoming me back. I feel her fingertips dig into my shoulder blades and her breath catch against my mouth. We don't speak. We don't need to. The silence between us is full. Heavy. Safe. I hold her face in my hands when I move inside her. She looks at me like I might vanish. I never want to again. We move slow. Deep. Like we're rediscovering each other one breath at a time. She moans softly, barely a sound. Her hands tangle in my hair. I kiss her neck, her shoulder, the scar near her hip she always used to cover. She lets me. We finish together, but we don't collapse. We stay close, tangled in sheets and silence. Her back is to me now, and I trace the curve of her spine like a path I forgot how to walk. And still, not a word is said. But I hope, she felt it. Because I did. Every single second. Chapter 6. Belle. The last 3 days have passed in a haze. What was supposed to be a movie night turned into something else, into a sea of kisses, heat and tangled sheets, into the gravity of his touch and the silence that stretched long and sweet between our breaths. We barely left the bed, except for a quick snack, or water, or to let the world know we were still alive, barely. It was like time folded in on itself and all that existed was us. His body still feels like home. His skin under my palms, the way he kissed my shoulder when he thought I was asleep, the way he pulled me closer in the middle of the night, without a word, like it was instinct. And maybe it was. Maybe loving him is something my body remembers even if my mind begs me not to. But I can't do this again. I missed him. God, I missed him. His laugh, his smell, the rough scrape of his jaw, the way his fingertips feel like they're writing poems against my skin. But none of that matters when I remember the way he left. The silence. The space. The ache of missing someone who's still alive, still out there, but no longer yours. He's married to his work. He always was. I knew it then, I know it now. And people don't change. Maybe he missed me. Maybe he still does. But it won't be different this time. It can't. He's the one that got away, because he wanted to. And he'll go again. So I tell myself this is just for the comfort, for the warmth, for the sex, because if I say it's more, if I admit it feels like more, I'll crumble. Be still, my heart. Please. Be still. Chapter 7. Setimo. I wake up and the first thing I see is her, already awake, lying next to me. She's watching me quietly, but there's something in her gaze, soft, distant. A dried tear stains her cheek. Is that because of me? I ask, my voice still husky with sleep. Good morning, she replies, dodging the question. Her tone light, but the heaviness lingers between us. Look who's the sleepyhead now, she adds with a smile, small, but real. I guess I am. I reach for her, pulling her close, kissing her lips before trailing my mouth down her jawline. My hands move instinctively, following the curve of her back, finding her thighs, coaxing them apart. I want her, the way I always do. But she gently stops my hand before it slips between her legs. I'm late for school and I still have to shower, she says, her voice tender but resolute. Last year, right? I ask, reluctantly letting her go. Yes. She's already halfway across the room, gathering her things. I watch her dress in silence. Every move she makes feels measured, guarded, like she's here, but not all the way. She's pulling on her jeans when I finally ask, Will I see you later? She pauses, not quite looking at me. Do you want to? There's a sharp edge beneath her words, a flicker of something wounded. As if she's bracing for rejection. I want to, yes. I sit up a bit straighter. Okay. I'll text you once I'm done. I don't have work today, it's closed for inventory, so I can see you after school if that suits you. I'm home. You can come over when you finish, I say, softer now. She nods and crosses the room. A quick kiss lands on my lips, sweet, but rushed, like an obligation rather than a desire. Then she's out the door. And I'm left here in bed, surrounded by the echoes of her scent and the weight of everything unsaid. I can't help feeling a bit confused. She used to be all warmth and smiles, teasing laughter and soft touches that lingered. Now, she feels like glass. Beautiful, but cold to the touch. Fragile, too, like one wrong word could shatter her. And I don't know if I should try to hold her tighter, or let her drift. Chapter 8. Belle. I text Flavio, on my way. Meet you at the car. He's already there, leaned casually against the hood, one boot crossed over the other, phone in hand. Just like always. Like clockwork. This has been our routine for months now. He never says anything about it, never complains. He's just there. My safe place wrapped in sarcasm and leather jackets. He saved me once, dragged me out of bed when Setimo left, pulled me through every grey morning when I wanted nothing more than to disappear into the sheets. He forced me to eat, to shower, to show up for uni like my world hadn't just shattered. Like I wasn't still bleeding inside. After class, we'd ride together. His car or his motorcycle, depending on the weather. He lives just across from the shop where I work, so we'd usually stop at his place for coffee, or beer, depending on the day. He listened to me whine about Setimo for the millionth time, without flinching. Just listened. Like it wasn't exhausting. Like I wasn't exhausting. After work, there he was again. Waiting outside like it was nothing. Sometimes we'd take a ride. Sometimes we'd crash on his couch, binge watch bad TV. If we drank too much, or if I didn't feel like going home, I'd just stay. I had a drawer at his place long before I felt normal again. Fridays, I usually went home. He'd go clubbing, his thing, not mine. Monday, we'd pick up again where we left off. We were always friends. Just friends. But the heartbreak made us something more, not romantic, but closer. Unshakably close. Of course, no one believed that. Not our classmates. How come you two aren't a couple? Victor asked once, half joking, half serious. You even spend most nights at his place, Tina chimed in with a raised eyebrow. Do you have your own room at his place? No, I sleep in his room. It's a 2-bedroom apartment and he's got a roommate. You two sleep in the same bed? Anna asked. Yes. But, Tina interjected. Nothing ever happened, nothing will, I said, laughing. I sleep great there. Better than in my own bed. Yeah, Flavio added, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. That's because she doesn't spend the whole night crying into her pillow at my place. I rolled my eyes. We're just not each other's type. But they never bought it. I don't blame them, really. He's tall, hot, built like a model who drinks just enough beer to keep his abs approachably toned. Dirty blonde brown hair, soft blue eyes, all draped in tattoos and smirks. Honestly, a walking poster boy. And I do understand their thinking and especially the girls' opinions, but it didn't matter to us. I was his broken little sister. Anna had a full-blown crush on him and once asked me to help set her up. I told her the truth, he likes them paper thin, and we laughed over it. Cruel maybe, but it was real. He's a player, no way around it. That whole clubbing thing? It's not for the dancing. It's for the hookups. Some girls don't even make it past the parking lot, or the car. Still, he's the best guy I know. Sweet beneath the swagger. Loyal like nobody else. I once told him, dead serious, if you were the last man on the planet, in the whole damn galaxy, I still wouldn't fuck you. He laughed so hard he almost choked on his drink. That's us. We get each other. But outsiders? They always assumed there was more. And maybe there was, but not like that. I slide into the passenger seat. You look like hell, he says without looking up from his phone. Thanks. That's exactly what I was going for. He shoots me a look. Why do you look like this? Please don't tell me it's him again. I exhale. He texted me Friday, just as I was heading home. I knew I should have driven you. But no, someone insisted on stopping for groceries. Well, we met later that night. He pauses. Then, let me guess. You're coming from his place? Please just drive. My voice is flat. I can't handle the judgment in his eyes. Not today. Don't be stupid, Belle. I'm not. Not this time. He glances at me, unconvinced. Enlighten me then. Because right now you look like a train hit you. Fine, I mumble. Maybe I was stupid. He pulls onto the main road and doesn't say anything for a moment. Then, softer, you know I love you, right? I know, I whisper. And I love you too. But I swear, this time is different. This time? He snaps. You plan to see him again? After what he did? Or should I remind you how I found you on the floor, sobbing so hard you couldn't breathe? How I held you till you stopped shaking. I know. And I'm so grateful. I mean that. But it's not like that this time. My heart's not in it, Flav. I promise. It's just that. The sex is so damn good. Oh, so this is what? A fuck buddy situation now? His jaw tightens. Yeah. I try to sound confident. Just sex. That's all. He doesn't respond at first. Then mutters, right. Sure. I guess your lifestyle's rubbing off on me, I say, nudging his shoulder, trying to lighten the mood. He doesn't laugh. He pulls up to the curb and puts the car in park. Then turns to me. I swear, Belle. If he breaks your heart again, his voice cracks just a little. There won't be enough left of him for the cops to identify. No heart, I repeat softly, placing my hand over mine. I promise. Chapter 9. Setimo. I'm halfway through revising a stubborn section of the contract, eyes burning from too much screen time, when my phone buzzes. Belle, just finished my last class. I let the message sit for a moment. No emoji. No heart. Just text. Clean. Precise. Like her new boundaries. I don't reply. 15 minutes later, the intercom buzzes. She doesn't wait. The moment I press the button to answer, her voice trickles through. It's me. I open the door just as she reaches the top of the stairs, cheeks slightly flushed. Why didn't you take the lift? I ask. She shrugs, not even winded. Ha ha. I step aside to let her in. You got home quick. Yeah. Flaviu drove me. He lives close by. Of course he did. Of course he does. I swallow the flicker of jealousy before it has time to burn. Let's make something to eat? She nods. Sure. What do you have in mind? Pasta carbonara? Her eyes flit toward me, a spark of recognition breaking her neutral expression. Sounds good. What can I do to help? You can grate the grana padano. A lot of it. Don't be stingy. She smirks faintly. That was never a risk. We move in quiet rhythm through the kitchen. She handles the cheese, and I fry the pancetta, whisking the eggs with the grated grana padano and pepper. Occasionally, our hands brush, accidental or not, I can't tell. I lean in once to kiss her cheek, but she doesn't fully turn into it. Still guarded. When I wrap my arms around her waist from behind and whisper, "You're cutting it too close to your fingers," she laughs, soft and quick, but doesn't lean into me. I wonder if she notices the way I slow down just to watch her work. The way I memorize how her fingers hold the grater, or how she tucks a strand of hair behind her ear, always with her left hand. We eat in comfortable silence, but it's not quite the same kind of quiet we used to share. It's heavier. Measured. I try anyway. How was school? Fine. One word answers. Bare bones, Belle. How's the dissertation coming along? What subject did you choose? I picked rape and the forensics behind it. Also looking into paraphilic behaviors and sexual perversions. Might blend it with criminalistics for something broader. I pause, fork halfway to my mouth. Wow. That's heavy. It's not very ladylike, I know, she says, eyes flicking up with a dry half-smile. But it's the field I want. Something that sticks, something with blood and logic. I set my fork down, studying her. No, actually, that's incredible. Gruesome, yeah, but powerful. You've got guts. She shrugs. Somebody's got to do it. I want to say more, want to ask why that topic, what drives that choice, but she's already clearing plates, putting up walls brick by brick with every small gesture. After dinner. The space between us thaws. Her mouth finds mine mid-sentence as we pass each other, and suddenly I'm pulling her against me, hands at her waist, hips, thighs. Her back hits the bedroom door before I even realize we've crossed the hall. We fall onto the bed in a tangle of urgency and softness. There's less hunger now than last time, less frantic edge, more reverence. Like we both remember each other's bodies better than we admit. Her skin is warm and familiar under my hands. I kiss her shoulder. Her collarbone. The corner of her mouth. She gasps softly as I trace the inside of her thigh with my fingertips, slow and unhurried. We move like waves, rising, crashing, falling back into each other. She moans into my neck as I thrust deeper, her fingers curling into my hair, her legs locking around me. "Don't stop," she whispers against my jaw. I wouldn't dream of it. When she comes, it's with her forehead pressed to mine, eyes open, lips parted. And I follow, burying myself in the heat and ache of her, trying to remember what it was like to have this without the weight. We stay like that a while, tangled in sheets and breath and everything we don't say. But eventually, I pull back. "I'm sorry, I have to finish something for work," I say, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. She nods quickly, sitting up. "It's okay. I need to go anyway." I pause. "Do you want me to?" "No need." She cuts me off gently. I know the way. I don't ask where she's going. She doesn't offer. At the door, she gives me a kiss, soft, quick, fleeting. Like a borrowed thing we're not supposed to keep. Then she's gone. And I'm left wondering why she stopped staying the night. Chapter 10. Belle. Of course he had to live on the 7th bloody floor. The lift groans and creaks like a character from a horror film, threatening to trap anyone who dares to climb in it. It's one of those old buildings, the kind that smells like dust and pipe metal and carries echoes of 1,000 previous lives in its bones. By the time I reach the top, I'm panting, sweating, mildly regretting my life choices. I don't even bother knocking. The door's never locked. Flaviu says if someone really wants to rob him, they deserve whatever IKEA furniture they can carry. I step in and the first thing I see is him. Standing in the cramped kitchen dining hybrid, shirtless, beer in hand, grinning like a devil on a lazy Sunday, shirtless and beer in hand. "Holy shit," he says, taking me in from head to toe. "You actually did it. You fucked and left." I grin, smug. "Told you so." He hands me his beer and grabs another from the fridge. "What did you tell him?" "I just said I needed to be somewhere and left." I take a long sip. Or rather, drain the bottle in one breath. Liquid courage, or just routine, I'm not sure anymore. Flaviu laughs. "So, I'm somewhere to be, huh?" "Oh, shut up," I swat at his shoulder. "We have that exam tomorrow, right? The one and only." "Fucking hell, I hate his class. It's pure torture. Tina just sent over all the notes she had from the semester," he says, pulling out his phone and flipping it toward me. "We're golden. Perfect. Let's get started on our fancy little exam helpers." He throws himself down on the couch. "You're doing them. I made the last ones. Fair is fair. I'll head downstairs to get more beer and snacks. Power food. Go. I'll get the laptop up and running." He disappears down the stairs and I dive into the digital mess that is our course folder. 20 minutes later, I've got 5 perfectly condensed cheat sheets ready to go. "All done," I announce as Flaviu kicks the door open with his foot, grocery bags in hand. "We just need to upload these to your phone and tomorrow's survival plan is complete." He tosses me his phone like it's a tennis ball. While I'm copying the files, my own phone chimes with a text. Before I can even blink, Flaviu's snatched it off the table. He raises a brow and reads it aloud, grinning. He's asking how you are and if you're already home. Should I reply, "She's crafting cheat sheets for tomorrow's exam like a criminal mastermind"? "Correction," I say, not looking up, "I finished making them." We both burst out laughing. "Okay then," I'll say, getting ready for tomorrow's exam. He types it in but pauses before sending, shooting me a side glance. Not a lie. It just lacks detail. "Exactly," I smirk. He taps send. Seconds later, my phone buzzes again. "Setimo, make sure to also get some rest. Good night kiss." Flaviu clutches his chest in mock sentiment. "He sent you a kiss. I swear to God I'm going to kick your ass." He hands me the phone back, looking too pleased with himself. I reply with a plain, "Of course, good night." No kiss emoji? He teases. I punch him in the leg. Okay. You win, sis. This round, anyway. I shake my head, hiding a smile, and shift the laptop back in front of us. So, what are we watching tonight? Continue with that law series or the one with the unhinged hospital interns and their total lack of chill? I'm up for a laugh, he says, stretching out. Me too. We carry everything to the bedroom, snacks, beers, and the laptop balancing dangerously on a pillow between us. The room smells faintly of fresh detergent and the cheap lavender spray his roommate always overuses. The familiarity is almost alarming. But comforting too. He throws an arm casually around my shoulder as the show starts. No tension. No expectations. Just easy company and cold beer. The best kind of refuge. Chapter 11. Bell. My alarm goes off like a screaming banshee. 7 a.m. sharp. It's the worst sound known to mankind, but I need it to be that way. Anything gentler and I'd sleep through it like the dead. We always end up drinking, binging episodes till the early hours, falling asleep sometime between just one more and fuck it, the sun's already rising. Today's no exception. I groan, fumble for my phone, and swipe the thing off. Then the cascade begins, the other 4 alarms, spaced 3 minutes apart, which I deactivate before they get their turn to torture me. Coffee. Must have coffee. Still half asleep, I stumble to the kitchen and get the machine going, the sharp smell grounding me like nothing else can. 2 mugs. Always 2. No matter what time we crashed, it's me who wakes first, always. Once the cups are full and steaming, I return to the bedroom and stand over the sleeping lump that is Flaviu. Wake up, I say gently. No movement. I nudge him with my knee. Come on. Flaviu. Time to rise, Your Majesty. Still nothing. Flaviu, if you don't get your ass up this second, I swear to every god above and below I will pour this coffee on your face. A groan. He peeks out from the covers, hair erect, eyes narrowed. You're evil. I made you coffee. You're still evil. He drags himself toward the bathroom, muttering curses. I yell after him, wash your face with cold water, don't just stand there pretending. By the time he emerges, a zombie reborn, we sip our coffees and go over the day ahead. He checks the window and grins. Sun's out. We're taking the motorcycle. I hate you. Do you know how much time I wasted trying to wake you? We're going to be late. No breakfast. You should feel ashamed. He takes another sip. Worth it. We throw on clothes in record time. I grab both phones and keys while he swings the helmets off the rack. His. The unmistakable gold nitro. Mine, red and black with a Tasmanian devil grinning on the back like a maniac. I had to buy one for myself, his spare one was gigantic and I looked like a bobblehead trying to balance a fishbowl. We zoom off through the city and make it to school a solid 10 minutes before the exam starts. Still, I curse him all the way from the underground parking, through the glass doors, and into the elevator. We're gonna get front row seats. You know how awful that is, right? I can't even pretend to check my phone up there. He shrugs like the blessed idiot he is. By some miracle, I score a seat in the 3rd row and he lands one behind me in the 4th. Perfect. We always sit like this, he hides behind my back while I block the view of the teacher. Strategic brilliance, honestly. The exam? Crushed it. Between Flaviu's notes, my organization, and our combined levels of caffeine and petty ambition, we fly through it like pros. As we leave the room, I check my phone. Did he text you? Flaviu leans over my shoulder. Yup. I scroll through. Wished me luck and told me to text after the exam. He grins. You don't need luck with exams, you've got me. Damn right. Best duo in the game. I text back quickly, just finished the exam. Still got a few classes and work straight after. Between classes, we head out into the courtyard for the usual cigarette break, which is hilarious, considering I don't even smoke. Most of our group's already there. Anna lights up before we've even cleared the doors, blowing smoke like she's in a noir film. Tina and I lean against the wall, arms folded, catching some sun. Victor's pacing while he talks shit, as always, with Stefan trailing behind him and Larissa daintily puffing on her slims like she's too classy to actually inhale. Flaviu jokes, how are we the only sane ones in a group of smokers? Because we're too smart to be cool, I reply. Victor overhears. You're saying I'm cool? I said nothing of the sort, I deadpan. Everyone laughs. The easy rhythm of it all, banter, smirks, shared inside jokes, it makes everything else feel further away. The pressure, the ache in my chest I keep hidden. Hey, Anna says, eyeing me. You look good today. Like, glowy. Flavio wraps a casual arm around me. She's glowing because she actually left his bed this time. Flavio. The whole group erupts, Tina nearly choking on her water. Victor starts chanting, whose bed? Tell us. Tell us. And Anna just smirks like she's putting pieces together. I hate all of you, I mutter, hiding my face. But I'm smiling too. Because even if my heart still trembles under its armor, here, I can breathe. Chapter 12. Belle. The shop's quiet today. Too quiet, actually. The soft buzz of the fluorescent lights, the occasional creak of a shelf settling in its frame, the distant hum of the street beyond the glass door, it's the kind of silence that seeps into your bones and asks you to either overthink or create. I choose the latter. I slide my sketchbook from under the counter and flip past messy pages of unfinished ideas, smudged fingers, half-dreams caught in pencil strokes. I land on a blank page, inhale, and begin. The soft sound of lead scratching paper is soothing. My world narrows down to lines and shadow play. I start to sketch the one thing that always pulls me back to calm, the silhouette of a Honda CBR 600. I've drawn it 100 times before, but it always looks different depending on my mood. Right now, I draw it with sharper lines, bolder shading. Like I'm trying to anchor something through the steel and speed of it. My phone rings just as I'm tracing the curve of the fuel tank. Yes. I answer without checking, voice half lost in my drawing trance. Just wanted to know when you finish work so I can have dinner ready. It's Setimo's voice, warm and steady. Also, you didn't answer my text. So, I called. My eyes dart to my phone. 2 unread messages. Shit. Yeah, sorry, I was absorbed in my drawing. Didn't even hear it buzz. What were you drawing? The Honda. A pause. Of course you were, he says, and I hear the smile in his voice. I finish at 7, I add. Oh. He sounds surprised. I'm on the closing shift now that I've got uni during the day, I explain. So yeah, my evenings are longer than they were over the summer. I see. Do you want me to pick you up? No, it's fine. I'll walk. See you after 7. There's a soft exhale on the other end. Okay then. See you soon. I hang up and stare at the phone for a second longer than necessary. Then I open Flavio's chat. Not coming over straight after work. Going to S's. He replies almost instantly, fancy. I send him the middle finger emoji. Okay, okay. Be safe. He texts back. I smile. By the time closing hour rolls around, I've already packed most of the stock and wiped the counter twice. I switch off the lights, lock the door, and head out into the crisp evening air. Autumn's teasing winter. The wind has the dry bite to it and the streets are scattered with leaves that crunch underfoot like whispered reminders that time is passing, always passing. The walk to his place is familiar. My boots echo against the pavement. I clutch my coat tighter. And even though my heart's still wrapped in layers, tucked behind caution and broken promises, I feel it stirring. Quietly. Reluctantly. But stirring all the same. Chapter 13. Setimo. I opened the door just as her gentle knock fades. She's standing there, arms wrapped loosely around herself, eyes watchful. I lean in and kiss her softly. Did you take the lift? That death trap you mean? She scoffs, almost teasing. I thought you wanted to see me, not get rid of me. Of course I want to see you, I say, a smile tugging at my mouth. I missed you. I was just asking because, well, you're not out of breath. Oh, that. She shrugs, stepping inside. I didn't hurry upstairs. Also, my best friend lives on the 7th floor of a building just like this, same sketchy lift. I've had my practice. Right. She didn't hurry. Back then, she'd practically race up the stairs. I remember the way she used to throw herself into my arms, breathless and grinning like being near me was the best part of her day. Now, she walks in like it's routine. Like I'm familiar. Not essential. We eat in silence. The kind of silence that scrapes against you, because it used to be filled with laughter, stories, her voice humming along to whatever was playing in the background. After dinner, we settle in the living room. I ask about her day. The exam, uni. She answers. Briefly. Just enough. Her words land like pebbles instead of stories. She's here, but she's not here. And I feel the sting of it. I know the breakup hurt her, but I didn't think I broke her like this. She used to fill the room with her thoughts, her opinions, her spark. Now it's like she's filtering every word before she says it, building fences I can't see over. Did she really stop loving me? No. She wouldn't have answered the phone that day if she hated me. She wouldn't be here. She wouldn't stay for dinner. We still fit, physically, instinctively, but something's cracked beneath the surface. And I'm scared to touch it in case it crumbles. If I ask too much, press too hard, she might walk out. Again. I don't want her to walk out. Earth to Setimo. Her voice slices through the quiet. I blink, realizing she's waving a hand in front of my face. Are you still there? Yeah. Sorry, I was just lost in thought. What were you saying? I said it's getting late, and I should go. Stay. I don't have clothes, she says gently, the way someone says no without saying number. You can borrow mine. You know that. She laughs, and God, I missed her laugh. But it doesn't reach her eyes. I meant clothes for tomorrow. I've got school, remember? Or do you expect me to walk into class wearing one of your oversized shirts? Maybe you could skip just this once? I try, only half joking. She smiles, but it's tight. It's exam season. If I hit 80% attendance, I can take pre-exams with less material and skip the full finals. I've made it this far, I'm not risking it now. Fair enough. I didn't know. That's actually pretty smart. I nod. Wow, you're quite the nerd, huh? Just like I was. That gets a real laugh. A short hug. A soft moment. Then she's up, gathering her things. I really should go. It's almost 11. I'll drive you. It's okay. I'm just walking a few blocks. That catches me off guard. Did you move? I ask, trying to do the math. She used to be a whole train station away. She pauses, just a fraction of a second. Then says, I'm going to Flaviu's place. Remember? I told you he lives nearby. Right. Flaviu. The guy who drove her up from uni. The guy who's suddenly everywhere in her day-to-day. And you're going there now? At this hour? I see it hit her, my question, my tone. It's a shift. She straightens. Jealous? She asks, too cool. No, I say quickly. Why would I be? Exactly, she says. Why would you be? Then, softer. He's a friend. A good one. He helped me through a very dark place. A very dark place. And I know, without her saying it, that it was me. That I was the one who dragged her into the darkness. Maybe you can tell me more about him sometime, I offer, trying to soften the moment. If you'd like that. I would. Will I see you tomorrow? Yeah. After work. I'll be waiting. She leans in and kisses me, slow and sweet. It lingers. And then she's gone. The door clicks shut. I stand there in the silence, that kiss still burning on my lips. She used to stay over. She used to whisper that her favorite thing in the world was waking up next to me. I should have told her the same. I should have said it 1,000 times. But I didn't. And now, I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to again. Chapter 14. Belle. I can't believe you pulled it off a second time, Flaviu laughs from the couch, half sprawled like always, beer in hand, eyes twinkling with that annoying mix of amusement and worry. I told you already, I mutter, kicking off my shoes. No heart involved. But my voice cracks on the last syllable, so quiet it might have passed unnoticed, if it wasn't Flaviu. He says nothing, just shifts and lifts his arm, silently inviting me in. I don't even pretend to hesitate. I drop onto the couch and into his side, curling under that familiar arm, pressing my face into his chest like it's muscle memory, like it's home. The tears come fast and hot, no warning, no grace. It's okay, he says softly, brushing his chin over the top of my head. You'll be okay. I'm right here. And he is. Always is. When the sobbing dulls into hiccups and silence, I look up at him. My face is probably blotchy and red and gross, but he doesn't flinch. Thanks, I whisper. I needed that. No heart, He smirks. Shut it and pass me the beer. He grins and hands it over. Cold bottle, warm hands. I crack it open like it's some kind of answer. Can I ask you something? He says, side-eyeing me. You already did. Oh come on. Besides that. You know what I mean. Will said question piss me off? Probably, he shrugs, unbothered. I will punch you, I warn. But please, continue. Why? Why what? I squint at him. You're being incredibly vague. Why do you do this to yourself? I pause. That one lands heavier than it should. He sees it, but doesn't press. I sip my beer, buying time. Again, please clarify. Do what to myself? Torture myself? Lie to myself? Masochistically spiral for sport? Be specific. Why do you say no heart, he says gently, when even a blind man could see it. I stare into my drink like maybe I'll find courage at the bottom of it. But there's nothing there except bitter bubbles and the reflection of a girl trying to be steel and ending up porcelain. Because, I murmur, if I say it enough times, maybe I'll believe it. Maybe it'll get easier. Maybe my heart will stop showing up like an idiot every time he so much as blinks. Flaviu doesn't speak. He waits. I'm still broken, I admit. Still scared. But if I pretend the heart isn't involved, maybe it'll stop aching. Maybe it'll shut up and let me live. He nods. Thoughtful. Quiet. Interesting strategy, he says after a pause. Let me know how that works out for you. I snort. Dig. Liar. We both laugh, hollow at first, then real. The sound of two people who've walked through too many fires side by side. Eventually, we drag ourselves off the couch, half-hearted groans and mock complaints, and collapse in the bedroom. The laptop is still open from last night. One click and the TV series picks up from where we left it, pixelated laughter filling the dark. He doesn't say anything else. Neither do I. But his arm finds its place behind me, and I lean in just enough to let it. Chapter 15. Belle. After work, I head straight to Setimo's place, like I said I would. We're in the living room, half curled on opposite ends of the couch, a soft blanket draped somewhere in the middle but neither of us really pulling at it. The TV is playing some background noise neither of us is watching. We talk about our day. Light stuff. Surface level. The weather. Deadlines. School. Work. Time blurs a little. He still doesn't say anything too deep. Nothing personal, nothing revealing. But I don't ask. I don't dig. Honestly? I don't even care. Not now. I'm too tired to care. Or maybe I'm just too used to it by now. At some point, he asks about Flaviu. What's the deal with him? Your friend? Yeah. He's a good friend, I say casually, without skipping a beat. I keep it vague, neatly packaged. No fraying edges. I don't tell him Flaviu is the one who peeled me off the floor when I could barely breathe without sobbing. I don't mention that he was the one who forced me to shower, eat, leave the house, go to class. I don't say he picked up all the splintered versions of me and never once asked me to be whole. That he was the one holding me at night when I'd cry out Setimo in my sleep. Instead, I say, he's been around for a while. We're really close. I offer just enough. Enough to set the tone, to plant the truth without burying him in it. He nods, but I catch the slight stiffening of his jaw. He hides it quickly, but I've spent too long watching this man not to notice. I keep talking, casually, conversationally. I tell him Flaviu lives nearby, that he's the one who gave me rides when I needed them. That we studied for our exams together. That he's funny. That he's kind. That he's safe. But not that he's the one person I knew would never leave. I don't say, he's the kind of friend who'd punch you in the face for hurting me again. But I think it. Loudly. And maybe, just maybe, I let the idea simmer in the silence between us. I wonder if he hears it, even without me saying it. We settle back into the sofa. He brushes a strand of hair from my cheek and smiles, soft and slow. I return it, polite, quiet, restrained. There's warmth here. Familiarity. But it's wrapped in gauze. And part of me wonders if we're both too bruised to bleed out loud again. Chapter 16. Setimo. She's still keeping her walls high up, but at least she doesn't run out the door when I ask about her day. Not as jagged as before, no sharp retorts, no cold silences, but the fortress is still there. Intact. Quietly impenetrable. But at least now, she doesn't flinch when I ask about her day. She doesn't deflect with a sarcastic quip or look at the floor like it holds better answers than I ever could. That counts for something. Right? I've been thinking, maybe tonight she'll stay. It's Friday, after all. No early alarm tomorrow, no exam stress. Maybe she'll let herself rest. Stay past midnight. Past the ache. Maybe she'll stay with me. I hear the faint buzz of the intercom and make my way to the door. And there she is. Hair a little windswept, cheeks slightly flushed from the evening chill, carrying that same quiet stillness she always brings with her now. The one that makes me feel like I have to tread carefully or I'll scare her off. She's so familiar and yet so distant. Like holding a memory that keeps slipping through my fingers. "Hi," I say, trying not to smile too much. Like I'm afraid I'll overdo it. "Hey," she replies, her voice soft, measured. I step aside, let her in. She takes off her coat and places it on the hook she always used to ignore. Something about that makes me hope. Just a little. She walks toward the kitchen, eyes glancing around like she's checking if anything's changed. Nothing has. Not since her last visit. Not since the first time, really. This place was always hers more than mine. It still is. She just doesn't know it. I follow her, our steps quiet but not uncomfortable. Maybe tonight will be different. Maybe she'll stay. Maybe she'll let me love her again, even if she never calls it that. I can only hope. Chapter 17. Belle. I'm falling into this rhythm again. The routines, the softness, the way his eyes always land on me like I'm the answer to something he never dared ask out loud. God help me if this ends again. It won't break me this time. It can't. Right? His gaze sweeps over me like it's the first time all over again. Head to toe, slow and deliberate, like he's memorizing me. "See something you like?" I ask, my voice light even if my pulse isn't. "Everything," he says, and just like that, I'm in his arms and in his mouth, his kiss fierce and tender all at once. "I've got something to ask you." "Do tell." I answer intrigued. "Stay the night?" I raise an eyebrow. That's not really a question. Or am I wrong? "Fine," he chuckles. "You can say no. If you want to." I roll my eyes, but my voice is gentle. "I'll stay. I got nowhere else to be until Monday. I'm all yours. If you'll have me till then, of course." His eyes light up, actually light up, like I just handed him something priceless. And for a moment, I wish I hadn't said anything else. But I do. "Of course I want you to stay." "I always wanted you to stay," he says. And something in me snaps. Not entirely true, is it? Not always, anyway. The words come out cold, like I've spit them out without thinking. But I was thinking. I always am. His face drops, just enough for me to hate myself a little. "I'm sorry," I say quickly, cupping his cheek. "I don't know what came over me." "I know. I'm sorry too." His voice is quieter now, wounded in that way he rarely shows. But then he kisses me, and it's soft. Lingering. Forgiving. Maybe. We eat in near silence after that. The air isn't tense exactly, but it's thick with things unsaid. Still, he smiles at me like he can't help it every time our eyes meet. "We should go somewhere this weekend," he says. "To unwind. I'm sure you're stressed with all the exams." "I'd rather stay here. With you." "But you'll still be with me," he grins, "just not in this apartment." "I don't need you to take me somewhere fancy," I say, more firmly now. "I'd prefer to sit, talk, relax. And talk some more. Talking would mean more than any trip." "There. I said it." He doesn't argue. He just nods, almost solemnly, like he knows that line cost me something. "Do you mind if we go to bed now?" I ask. "Tired?" He teases. "Not exactly." I flash him a smile that says everything else. He smiles back, hungry, excited, and just a little shy. "Lead the way." In the bedroom, everything else falls away. Clothes. Doubts. Words. It's not rough or needy this time. It's slow. Hands mapping each other like a rediscovery. Mouths pressing promises into skin that neither of us dare speak aloud. He kisses every part of me with reverence, as if trying to rewrite the pain he left behind. And I let him. I close my eyes and let myself feel, just for a night. When we collapse together under the sheets, legs tangled and breath slowing, I don't pull away. I stay. The weekend blurs like that. Skin. Laughter. Sex. Repeat. We don't talk much. Not really. We fucked instead, not that I was complaining this time. Great sex and definitely what I wanted. And maybe that was enough for now. When Monday came and I started to dress, his eyes followed me like I was stealing something. "I'll be back after school," I said, tying my hair. "No work this week." His face, God, his face lit up like I handed him the moon. And I left with that look etched behind my eyelids. Chapter 18. Setimo. Each day, she came back. And yet, each night, she left. She only stayed during the weekend. I told myself it was school, the dissertation. She was tired. Busy. Focused. I understood. Still, I tried. I told her she could work from here. Research here. I'd make space for her laptop, her books. I'd even get her a new one, anything she needed. But she always turned me down. "There's too much stuff," she'd say. "Too many notebooks, too many post-notes, my highlighters, my favorite pens." The kind of reasons that sound harmless on the surface. But they weren't. Not really. Every excuse a gentle no. Every no a reminder, you don't get to have all of me anymore. Sometimes, if I asked again or pressed just a little harder, she'd pivot, ask how my work was going, whether I was still busy, if I had deadlines coming up. And I knew exactly what she was doing. It was her way of reminding me. "You're the one who said you couldn't make time. You're the one who left first. You don't get to be wounded by the space you created." And she was right. But damn. It still stung. Because every night, when the door closed behind her, a part of me wanted to run after her. To say please stay, to say I miss you the second you're gone. But I didn't. Not when I hadn't yet earned the right. Chapter 19. Belle. I'm curled on the couch at Setimo's place, the soft hum of the television filling the silence between us. Some random comedy show had just ended, and the news kicks in. My eyes barely flick up, until the words "motorcycle accident" hit the screen. A jolt snaps through me. I sit upright. Setimo shifts too. Footage. A wrecked bike. Crushed at the side of the road. Paramedics. Blood. A flash of gold under the streetlight. My breath catches in my throat. No, number. Golden nitro helmet. My fingers go cold, body already moving on its own. I fumble for my phone with hands I can't feel. My voice is shaking. "Pick up. Come on, pick up." Next to me, Setimo's doing the same, dialing, checking, waiting. His friend answers. He exhales. Mine doesn't. "Still nothing?" Setimo asks, eyes narrowing in concern. I shake my head. I can't form words. My lips tremble and I feel the shaking start, deep in my stomach, crawling outward like a wave crashing through bone. "He's the only guy I know with that helmet," I whisper. "That exact helmet." Setimo watches me for a second longer. Then he stands. "Let's go." We're going to his place. We don't talk during the drive. My hands haven't stopped shaking. When we pull up outside, I'm already out of the car before it fully stops. My feet hit the pavement with too much force, like I'm trying to outrun the fear still tightening around my ribs. I open the door with such force I almost tumble inside. Flaviu's standing there, safe, whole, and the second he sees me, he knows. "Shit, Belle, shit, I'm sorry," he says, pulling me into his arms before I can even breathe. "I didn't pick up, my mum called me too, she saw the same thing, I didn't think, I'm so sorry." I wrap myself around him, clinging like a lifeline, my forehead pressed to his shoulder. My body finally starts to still. He smells like laundry powder and stale beer and something warm that has always felt like home. I thought, my voice cracks. "I saw the helmet." "I know," he says. "I know. But I'm here. I'm fine. I'm sorry." Setimo is there. Somewhere behind me. But right now, my world is Flaviu, alive, unbroken, and safe. They nod at each other, a silent, weighted glance between two men on opposite sides of the same storm. All I could do was hold on to Flaviu and make sure he was real, that he was standing, breathing, joking like he always did. We moved to the kitchen, and he poured me a coffee, though I am sure my hands still trembled on the mug. He leaned against the counter, relaxed, like this wasn't a big deal. But when I reached for him again, just to touch his shoulder, just to know he was still here, he didn't flinch. He let me care. Because he always does. And when he hugs me again, I let him. And I don't realize, until later, How long I held on. Or how quiet Setimo had gone behind me. Chapter 20. Setimo. I stood there, just inside the threshold of Flaviu's flat, but I might as well have been a mile away. Belle was wrapped around him, her arms clinging like she'd been holding her breath for hours. Her body trembled in his arms, not from cold but from the storm that must have just passed through her chest. She was talking fast, words tumbling out in broken pieces. I thought, God, I saw the helmet, and my stomach dropped, and I couldn't reach you, and for more than a moment I thought I lost you. He held her like someone who's done it before. Calm. Sure. Like her shaking was a familiar language he knew how to answer. I'm here, he said. I'm fine. And I'm not going anywhere. That sentence echoed. Not going anywhere. And there it was, that familiar sting. Not the full blaze of jealousy. This was quieter, crueler. The kind that settles under your ribs like a stone. Heavy. Cold. Undeniable. I knew about Flaviu. She told me. The best friend. The guy who picked her up off the floor when I wasn't there to. I had no right to feel this way. But I did. I watched him brush a thumb under her eye, wiping her tears away, still whispering something I couldn't quite hear. And he smiled at her with a kind of ease that felt earned. They looked right together. Not romantically. It wasn't that. But they fit. In a way that comes only from 1,000 shared moments, 1,000 silent understandings I wasn't part of. I stood back and let her have that moment. She needed it. I told myself that. Over and over. She eventually stepped away from him and glanced over at me like she'd only just remembered I was there. She smiled. Small. Apologetic. I smiled back. Later, we returned to my place. We talked. About small nothings, movies we never finished, the weird way our neighbors dress. Nothing deep. Nothing raw. Just shallow waters where we could both float. She sat on the couch, legs tucked under her, sipping orange juice, eyes half-lidded with exhaustion. I watched her. She was here. But some part of her still wasn't. And I didn't dare ask where it had stayed behind. Was it with Flaviu? Chapter 21. Belle. He made my favorite snack. Not just the kind of favorite I'd mention in passing, but the real kind, the one I only crave when I'm bone-deep tired or quietly falling apart. How did he remember that? I freeze at the threshold between the hallway and the kitchen, staring at the little plate. My chest tightens. Stop being sweet. I don't trust sweet anymore. Sweet gets your hopes up. Sweet makes promises with no intention of staying. Sweet left me crying into my pillow when he decided it was best for me if he left. So, I don't trust Sweet. We end up watching something dumb on TV. One of those low-budget comedies that shouldn't be funny but somehow. He laughs, really laughs, and I glance at him before catching myself. God, I forgot what his laugh sounds like when he's not overthinking everything. He leans into me a bit, not touching but close enough to feel the heat of his skin. I don't lean back. I don't move closer. I just stay still. Safe. After, in the bedroom, we lose ourselves in each other. It's good. It always is. Familiar, fluid, intoxicating in that way only something almost healed can be. But something's different. He holds me longer this time. His lips brush the edge of my jaw. His fingers slide through my hair, slow and reverent. And then he says something. Low. Barely audible. Against the shell of my ear. I freeze for a second, but I don't ask him to repeat it. I pretend I didn't hear. Maybe I didn't want to. Because if I ask, it becomes real. And I'm not sure I can take real just yet. When it's over, we lie in the dark. He still tries to hold me, but the moments stretch too thin. I untangle myself gently, kiss his cheek, and start getting dressed. He walks me to the door. As I'm slipping on my coat, he says, "You don't have to leave." I pause. Smile. Polite. Controlled. I know. And I leave anyway. Because if I stay, my heart won't listen to reason. And right now, reason is all I have left. Chapter 22. Setimo. She leaves again. Slipping her coat on like she's wrapping herself in armor. I stand in the hallway longer than I should. Listening to the sound of her footsteps disappearing down the stairwell. I don't even know why I listen anymore. She never takes the lift. I go to the kitchen and I open the fridge. My eyes land on the little bottle of orange juice, The one she always finishes. Half drunk now. Still there. I close the fridge without touching it. Sit at the counter. Pick up my phone. Did you get home okay? I type the message. Read it over. Too eager. Too soft. Too much. I delete it. I open a new file instead, chapter 16. My fallback. My shield. If I can't talk to her, I'll talk to the page. Words never flinch. They don't walk away from you mid-sentence. But tonight, even the page doesn't help. My fingers hover over the keyboard and don't move. Eventually, I close the laptop and pull out my phone again. Not to text. Not this time. I scroll through my gallery, and find it. Her. Curled up in my hoodie, curled into me. She was half asleep, murmuring something about the ending of the film, her lips barely moving. She didn't know I took the photo. Didn't know I kept it. I don't look at it often. But when I do, it feels like she's still mine. I stare at it too long. Chapter 23. Belle. I wake up tangled in Flavius's sheets, my cheek pressed to his pillow, his faint cologne still clinging to the cotton. I stretch, and that's when I feel it. Setimo's hoodie. Still on me. It smells like him. I don't even remember putting it on yesterday. I barely remember what we talked about last night, if we even really talked at all. The words are starting to blur. Like fogged glass, just shapes and echoes. My hands clutch the fabric over my chest. I squeeze myself into it, into him, just for a second. One foolish, aching second. Then I pull it off in a rush, as if it suddenly became too much. Too warm. Too close. Nope. Not today. I mutter, sitting up and yanking it off. My chest feels too tight. Too exposed. I toss it onto the chair by the window and reach for my phone. I took your hoodie by accident. I'll bring it back when I come over. No heart. No emoji. No warmth. The reply comes quicker than expected. Keep it. Looks better on you. I stare at the screen. 1 minute. 2. 3. It's just words. It's just a sentence. But it sits in my chest like a weight. I type back, see you later. And then it comes. I miss you. I don't reply. Chapter 24. Belle. I had completely fallen into a rhythm with Setimo, one I told myself was just physical, one I kept convincing myself didn't mean anything, until moments like today happened. Moments when the rhythm slipped, when my heart cracked open and begged for something more. It was the third time I asked him to come with me to the Halloween party. Third time in as many weeks. And like before, he said number. They're your friends, Belle. Not mine. He said it casually, but the words still stung. I didn't ask you to go bond for life with them. I asked if you wanted to come to a party. With me. He sighed and looked away. You know Flaviu doesn't even like me. That's not true. It was. We both knew it. But I still said it. Setimo just raised an eyebrow, like he was calling my bluff. Fine. He doesn't like you. Because he saw what I looked like when you left me. That's what he saw. So yeah, he's protective. But he's not the one I'm asking to this party. He was quiet for a moment, too quiet. Then he leaned back on the kitchen counter and spoke softly, measured. I don't want to be the reason you don't have fun that night. He reached for my waist, pulled me closer, and kissed me. Gently at first. His lips brushing mine like they didn't quite know if they had the right. But then the kiss deepened, and I melted into it. I always melted into it. His hands found the hem of my shirt, lifting it over my head in one smooth motion. His mouth trailed from my lips down to my collarbone, nipping and kissing as he moved lower. He pressed me back against the wall, one hand cupping my breast, his thumb stroking a lazy circle over my nipple. I gasped, arching into his touch. His other hand slid between my thighs, under the waistband of my leggings, fingers brushing against my warmth. I was already wet, aching. Tell me you want this, he murmured into my neck, even though we both already knew the answer. I nodded, barely able to form the word. Yes. He dropped to his knees, pulling my leggings down with him, trailing kisses down my stomach and hips until his mouth met me. The first touch of his tongue made me gasp. He always knew exactly what to do, exactly how to unravel me. And he took his time. When I couldn't take it anymore, when I was trembling and clutching the edge of the counter, he rose, lifted me in his arms, and carried me to the bedroom. He laid me down gently, then stood in undress. My eyes drank in every inch of him. He was beautiful, maddeningly so. When he joined me on the bed, he settled between my legs, nudging into me with the head of his cock, teasing me with slow, shallow thrusts. I wrapped my legs around his waist, pulling him closer. And finally, he entered me. One deep, fluid motion. My breath caught. He moved slowly at first, his strokes long and deliberate, dragging out every sensation. His mouth found mine again, kissing me like he was trying to write an apology into my lips. He picked up the pace gradually, hips pressing harder, deeper. The rhythm became something primal, something perfect. Every thrust pushed us closer to the edge. I came first, moaning his name into the crook of his neck. He followed soon after, burying himself in me as he came, groaning softly. He stayed inside me, resting his forehead against mine. We didn't speak. We rarely did after. But I felt it. The weight of everything we weren't saying. Everything we wanted. Everything we were afraid of. Later, I curled against him in the sheets, his hand trailing lazy circles on my back. "You sure you don't want to come?" I asked one last time, barely a whisper. He didn't answer. And that silence said everything. Chapter 25. Belle. I've spent almost all day at school and then after, at work, finishing Setimo's birthday gift. It's tomorrow, and I want everything done tonight, because I know I won't have time during the Halloween party, and I want everything to be perfect. No last-minute touches. No rush. The gift is more than a gift. I personalized a coffee cup with a photo from one of his races, him, mid-lean on his Suzuki, the world blurred around him, sharp focus where it matters most. But it's the drawing that cost me the most. Not just time, days of careful lines, shadows, the impossible task of capturing movement with graphite, but emotion. It's him on his bike, frozen in the moment the way I sometimes try to freeze memories in my chest before they slip away. I wanted to give him a piece of how I see him. Fast. Sharp. Alive. I wrap them with gentle precision, tucking them neatly into a bag. Then I close up the shop and make my way to his place. He opens the door in sweatpants and that black fitted t-shirt that always hugs his chest too well for my own good. "What's in the bag?" he asks, raising an eyebrow. "Your birthday gift for tomorrow." His eyes light up with the warm glimmer I always fall for. "Can I open it now?" "Maybe, if you behave," I tease, trying to keep my tone light. But there's weight behind it. Because I'm about to ask him again. He smirks knowingly. "What does 'if I behave' actually mean to you?" "It means," I start carefully, stepping closer, "that you come with me tonight. To the party. Just this once." His expression flickers. Not quite a frown, not quite a sigh, but enough. "Please," I add, quiet now. "It'll just be me, Flavio, his roommate, Tina, Anna, Larissa and her boyfriend. That's it. No pressure. It's not a big thing. You said you've been to that club before, right? You know the space. We don't have to stay long, just come." There's that silence again. The kind I've come to hate. "We've talked about this," he says gently. "They're your friends, Bella. You should be with them, enjoy your night. But I want you there with me," I say, and the truth of it scrapes raw against my throat. "I want my friends to meet you." He looks at me with that careful softness I've started to dread. "Another time," he offers, as if that will soften the blow. "I'll be here waiting for you." Of course. Of course. I nod because what else can I do? I feel the rejection curl its way into my chest like smoke. Fuck. He didn't say no to the party. He said no to us. Again. And there's only one reason I can think of. He doesn't want to be seen with me because we aren't serious. I'm just comfort. A body. A fling. Not something to be brought into the light. Still, I try to smile as I hand him the gift. I press a kiss to his cheek, soft, longer than necessary, and whisper, "You can open it at midnight. I'll be thinking of you." Then I leave. I need air. I need to change. I need to breathe again before I suffocate in the silence he keeps dressing in affection. Chapter 26. Belle. I arrived at Flavio's out of breath, both from the climb up to the 7th floor and from holding in everything I didn't want to say. He took one look at me, still in my coat, holding my breath like it might hold back the tears, and raised his brows. "Don't tell me he broke up with you again." "He didn't." "Then why do you look like your entire soul just deflated?" I dropped my coat by the couch and sighed. I asked him again. About the party. And he refused. Again. Flaviu didn't say anything. Just blinked at me and walked to the kitchen. He came back with a bottle of water and a pack of tissues and tossed both next to me like he already knew what was coming. He's refused 3 times before, so what's such a big deal now? Because. I started, my voice tight, because it's not just that he doesn't want to go. It's how he says it. Like he's allergic to the idea of meeting my friends. Like the second he has to step into my world, the version of us we built behind closed doors stops being real. Flaviu tilted his head, watching me unravel. And the way he says your friends? Like they're some distant tribe he has no access to. As if you and I haven't been practically conjoined for the last months. He said, walking over and pulling me into a hug. So your overthinking brain is back. Welcome, old friend. I chuckled against his chest, but the ache didn't leave. Maybe he just doesn't like clubs, Flaviu murmured, ruffling my hair. Or maybe he's scared of me. I do have a very intimidating biceps to charm ratio. You're such an idiot. Only for you, sis. Now get dressed. We're going to be late, and I need to make at least 2 regrettable decisions before midnight. The taxi dropped us off at the club entrance, where Tina, Anna, Larissa and her boyfriend were already waiting. We filtered in together under flashing lights and that ever-present bass thump that made the walls vibrate like a second heartbeat. The club wasn't packed, thank God, which made it easier to find a spot in a corner with high stools and a narrow table. Drinks flowed, photos were taken, small talk and laughter filled the air. I was dressed to kill, black dress, devil horns, red lipstick. Flaviu had insisted on taking 20 photos of me before we left, calling me sin in heels. I rolled my eyes, but I did secretly love the way the outfit made me feel. Bold. Unapologetic. A little more bulletproof. The girls circled around me like satellites. You and Flaviu are so cute, Tina said, swirling her cocktail. Honestly, the fact that you two haven't announced anything yet is suspicious. We're not a thing, I reminded her, again, for the 100th time. Anna snorted. Sure. And I'm not still into him. I gave her a sympathetic smile. You know he's, well, a total player, yeah. She sighed. But a hot one. It's not fair. Before I could answer, Flaviu returned with beers. And then, like the absolute reckless, chaotic bastard he could be, he saw her. A girl by the bar. Mini red dress, blonde curls, short thin legs. I swear, she must have weighed less than my winter coat. Without hesitation, Flaviu strolled over, leaned against the bar, exchanged a few words, and then full-on tongued her down in the middle of the goddamn club. Oh my God, Tina gasped, grabbing my arm. Belle, look. He's kissing her. I turn. He's across the bar, full tongue dive with Miss Minion Extra Slim Edition, his hand sliding to her lower back as if to check if she has panties on. And I burst out laughing while the girls short-circuit in disbelief. You're not even, are you okay? Anna asked. He's with you, right? The girls gawked. I wiped a tear from my eye. Guess I'm not sleeping at his place tonight. What? Wait. You're not, he's not, you guys, I've told you 100 times. We're not together. Never have been. We're close, yeah. But that's it. No jealousy, no drama. He's like the hot, half-naked brother I never asked for. Tina still looked stunned. But he brought you here. You're practically attached at the hip. Exactly, I said, raising my beer. And that's exactly why it works. We're friends. Just friends. And I don't care if he kisses the entire minion army tonight. The girls still gave me suspicious side eyes, but they finally seemed to accept it, or at least realize I wasn't about to melt into tears over a club floor hookup. Chapter 27. Belle. We were still laughing, me, Tina, and Anna, laughing like we always did when Flaviu managed to outdo himself in sheer recklessness. He's unbelievable, Tina shook her head, still stunned. So, Setimo's real then? Not just your very convenient excuse to dodge all our Flaviu questions? She continued. Anna leaned closer, eyes darting toward the bar again. I mean, you sure you didn't just make up the guy just so we'd finally stop asking about you and Mr. Recklessness over there? The words hit like a flicker of something sharp, even if she didn't mean it cruelly. I tried to laugh. I did. And I managed something close. No, I said lightly. He's real. Just elusive. But God, It stung. Then, everything changed. Setimo appeared. No costume. No effort to blend in. Just him. Dressed in dark jeans and a pale violet shirt, eyes scanning the room like he was regretting this already. Until he saw me. And the second our eyes locked, the rest of the club, the lights, the music, the swirl of costumes, all of it just fell away. He parts the crowd and to reach me. Flavio was across the club at the bar, mid-conversation with the leggy blonde saw him too. He saw Setimo. Walking toward me. He excused himself from the blonde, quick grin, quick drink down, one line, got to go save someone's life. And then he was beside me. Not possessive. Not showy. Just there. He didn't touch me. He didn't say anything. But he stood by me like a wall. One arm barely brushing against my lower back, subtle, but unmistakable. His silent message, she's not alone. Setimo's eyes flicked to him. A fraction of a second too long. He saw it. The way Flavio's stance was effortless, protective, unshaken. The way he didn't move from my side. The way I didn't ask him to. My chest tightened. The air between the three of us became taut, delicate, and ready to snap. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice lower than I expected it to be. Surprise etched in every word. He stopped in front of me, took a breath, and then, I broke my hand when I was 5. Fell from a tree I wasn't supposed to climb. I've lived alone since I got my first ID. I love dogs. I thought I'd marry Flavia once. She left me. I was a wreck. When I asked her to fix my laptop, she renamed the system after herself. Just to spite me. I didn't change it. I couldn't. I participate in charity motorcycle rides, especially the ones for kids. I want children. Lots of them. He said it all in one breath, like if he stopped, he'd never start again. And then he just looked at me. Waiting. I didn't hesitate. I didn't need to. I wrapped my arms around him and kissed him. "What just happened?" Tina whispered, turning to Flavio in stunned disbelief. Flavio didn't even blink. Holy fuck. He just told her he loves her. Anna frowned. That's not what he said. He just had a midlife crisis and blurt out a lot of random stuff. I pulled back for just a moment and smiled at her. No, Flavio got it right. And then I kissed him again. Harder. "Let's go home," I whispered against his lips. "My place?" he asked, like he didn't want to hope too hard. "Our place," I corrected. "Home." His whole face changed at that. That guarded, weary look he always carried cracked open and something warm spilled through. He kissed me again, long, deep, full of something that might have been hope. Flavio turns to Anna and Tina and now she told him she loves him back. "We got that." "Thanks." Tina bites back. As we turned to leave, I hugged the girls goodnight and turned to Flavio. He pulled me into the kind of hug that anchored me, tight, solid, no words wasted. But when his eyes locked onto Setimo's over my shoulder, his tone changed. "If you make her cry," he said quietly, "there won't even be a body to find." I couldn't help it, I laughed, warm against his shirt. "I don't plan to," Setimo replied, surprisingly serious. "Good." Flavio let go and nodded once. "Because you've been warned." And just like that, he waved us off. The club faded behind us. But something else. Something real and terrifying and wonderful had just begun again. Chapter 28. Belle. We barely spoke on the drive to our place. Our place. The words felt clumsy on my tongue, but they curled around my heart all the same. The familiar hum of the lift, the quiet creak of the apartment door swinging open, it was like walking into a memory. The lights were low. Everything smelled faintly of coffee, leather, and him. I stepped inside and froze. My mug. Still on the kitchen counter. My battered copy of the picture of Dorian Gray tucked sideways between his motorcycle magazines. My sweater, an old soft thing I thought I'd lost, draped over the arm of the couch. Ghosts of us everywhere. Ghosts that had never really left. I swallowed hard, blinking against the sudden sting in my eyes. Behind me, Setimo shut the door with a soft click. I felt him before I saw him, close, warm, hesitant. He didn't say anything. He just reached out, brushed his knuckles down the length of my arm like he was afraid I might vanish if he touched too hard. Without thinking, I turned into him. Into the familiar lines of his chest, the steady thrum of his heart under my palms. And he caught me. like he always did. The kiss was tentative, barely there. The second was hungrier. By the third, there were no more doubts left between us. Clothes were peeled away in a silent frenzy. Hands mapping old territories, finding new ones. Every kiss tasted like a question. Every touch begged for trust. He lifted me like he did the last few times, carried me to the bed, and laid me down like something precious. His mouth found mine again. Then my neck. My shoulder. Lower. When his fingers finally slid between my thighs, I gasped, because somehow it felt different now. Deeper. Sharper. As if this wasn't just sex, wasn't just bodies. It was history and regret and hope crashing together. He touched me slowly at first, lazily tracing circles that made my whole body strain toward him. Then, without warning, he slid 2 fingers inside, setting a pace that was as much about worship as it was about need. I arched against him, desperate for more, and he gave it to me, pulling back only to murmur, rough and low, still so perfect for me. Before I could answer, he pushed into me in one slow, devastating thrust. I cried out, clinging to his shoulders as he filled me completely. He didn't move at first. Just stayed there, buried deep, forehead pressed to mine, both of us breathing each other in. Like he was memorizing this. Like he didn't trust it was real yet. When he finally moved, it was slow. Reverent. His hips rolling in a rhythm that had nothing to do with haste and everything to do with worship. I wrapped my legs around him, dragging him deeper, needing him closer, needing all of him. I missed you, the whole you, he whispered brokenly, his voice cracking in a way that splintered something inside me. I missed you too, I murmured against his neck. He thrust harder then, deeper, grinding against the spot that made me cry out again, my nails digging into his back. It wasn't just sex. It was a promise. It was I'm sorry. It was don't leave. And when I shattered beneath him, crying out his name, he followed, burying himself inside me with a desperate, shuddering groan. We collapsed together, a tangled mess of limbs and heavy breaths. The world outside the bedroom ceased to exist. There was only the dark, the hush, the lingering thrum of each other's touch. I should have been scared. I should have been guarded. But when he pulled me closer, his fingers tracing slow, mindless patterns along my spine, I melted into him. Minutes, or maybe hours, passed. And then, in the quiet dark, he spoke. Voice rough, unsteady. I love you, Belle. A pause. A breath. I love you, Belle. I've loved you since the night you brought me the green glove and stayed with me while I chased that stupid bug around the bathroom. I blinked against his chest, pulling back just enough to see his face in the moonlight. The bug night? I whispered, half laughing, half breathless. You're seriously telling me you fell in love with me over a cockroach incident? He smiled, a small, helpless thing, almost boyish. Yeah. You were scared. You hated it. But you still stayed. You still handed me that glove like a damn soldier on the front line. You guarded the door for me, even when you wanted to run. And then, you slept pressed against me, and I didn't move a muscle because I didn't want to lose that feeling. I swallowed hard, my throat aching. You're seriously hopeless, I murmured, trying to tease, but my voice cracked anyway. Hopelessly in love with you, he corrected, brushing his nose against mine. And then he grinned, wicked and tender all at once. He kissed me, hungry and deep and full of the promise of 100 sleepless nights to come. I kissed him back, laughing against his mouth even as my heart broke open wider than it had before. Because somehow, after everything, it still beat for him. It always had. And maybe, just maybe, this time, we wouldn't break it. Chapter 29. Belle. The room had gone quiet. That heavy, golden kind of quiet that wraps around you after too many confessions have been made and too much skin has been shed. I lay there beside him, tucked against his side, my fingers absently tracing lazy patterns across his chest. His hand covered mine, anchoring it, holding it there. And for the first time in a long time, I felt still. Still. But not entirely safe. Because the thing about having everything you ever wanted in your arms is realizing just how easily it could slip through your fingers again. He shifted slightly, pressing a kiss to the top of my head. A simple thing. A dangerous thing. I squeezed my eyes shut and spoke before I could talk myself out of it. You keep saying you love me, I murmured into his skin, but what if one day you decide loving me isn't enough? He stiffened for half a second. Just a heartbeat. Then he cupped my face in his hands and tilted my head up to meet his eyes. Those eyes. God, those traitorous, beautiful blue eyes, always my undoing. If that day ever comes, he said quietly, steadily, then I'll fight like hell for it. For you. Every damn time. He leaned his forehead against mine, voice breaking a little at the edges. I didn't fight before. I thought pushing you away would somehow protect you. But all I did was destroy us. I know better now. I swear, Belle. I know better. My heart cracked, a fresh ache blooming through my ribs. Because I believed him. And believing him terrified me more than doubting ever had. His thumb stroked the line of my cheekbones. Tell me what I can do, he said, almost pleading. Tell me what you need. I took a breath that felt jagged and fragile and impossibly huge. Just. I whispered, the words shaking loose like splinters, just don't decide what's best for me again. Don't push me out of my own life. He closed his eyes, squeezing them tight like the weight of the world had just dropped onto his shoulders. Then he kissed me. Not hard. Not hungry. Just a kiss of absolute promise. Of quiet vows and the messy beginnings. I won't, he said against my lips. I swear it. And somehow, I believed him again. Even with the bruise still blooming beneath my ribs. Even with the scar still faint beneath my skin. Chapter 30. Setimo. The morning slid in slow, slipping through the half-cracked curtains and spilling across the bed. And her. Belle lay curled beside me, one arm tucked under the pillow, hair fanned wild across the sheets. There was a faint crease between her brows even in sleep, like she was still bracing herself for heartbreak. Like even dreams couldn't quite convince her to relax yet. I didn't deserve her. Maybe I never had. But somehow, impossibly, she was still here. Still breathing the same air as me. Still trusting me with pieces of herself, even if she didn't know it yet. I brushed a loose strand of hair from her cheek, careful not to wake her. My hand lingered there a little too long, because when you love someone enough, even breathing the same space they breathe feels holy. The thought that sparked through me wasn't fear. It was hope. Sharp. Terrifying. Beautiful. The words came out before I could stop them, rough and half laughing. You know what's crazy? I said into the morning hush. We should just get married. Like. City Hall, Monday. No waiting. The silence that followed was brutal. My heart plummeted into my stomach. Idiot. She's going to think you're insane. That you're desperate. That you're. Her lashes fluttered open. Sleepy, confused, so beautiful it made my ribs ache. She stared at me for a second. Maybe two. And then, she smiled. Faint. Crooked. But real. Okay, she whispered. I blinked. Wait, what? Are you serious? Panic slammed into me. I mean, I thought you'd want something big. A real proposal. White dress. Cake. Your friends throwing rice or glitter or whatever the hell people do now. Not this. Not just me. Not just now. She propped herself up on her elbow, sleepy but certain. I don't need any of that, she said, voice steady. I just want you. It hit me so hard my throat burned. This woman. This impossible, stubborn, reckless woman. I pulled her into my arms, cradling her against my chest. You have me, I said into her hair. You've always had me, even when I was too much of a fucking coward to admit it. She squeezed me tighter. And for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, I let myself believe we could do it. Messy. Flawed. Raw. But ours. No fairy tale. No perfect picture. Just two people, bruised and stubborn and stupid in love. And somehow, that was more than enough. Chapter 31. Belle. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Warm, sweet, like the memory of a perfect morning you hadn't lived yet. I blinked against the soft light filtering into the bedroom and stretched out my hand, expecting to find Setimo beside me. But the space was empty. The sheets still held his warmth though, curling around me like a promise. I pushed myself upright, rubbing sleep from my eyes. On the nightstand sat a tray. A stack of pancakes crowned with strawberries, a glass of orange juice catching the sun like liquid gold. And next to it, folded neatly, was a handwritten note. I reached for it with hands that weren't quite steady. Don't change your mind. I mean it. I'll marry you barefoot if you want. I stared at the words until they blurred. Laughed. Cried a little too. Because it was so him, This mixture of stubbornness and sweetness, of fear and hope, stitched messily into every line. I pressed the note to my chest. Then I picked up the fork and dug into the pancakes, grinning like an idiot the whole time. Later, we wandered the city streets, hand in hand. No destination. No plan. Just the quiet comfort of each other's presence. The air was crisp, smelling faintly of roasted chestnuts and autumn leaves. We stopped to watch a street musician playing an old guitar, the melody raw and beautiful. Setimo dropped a few coins in the open case without a word. I stood on tiptoe and kissed his cheek, just because. We passed a bookstore. The windows fogged from the inside, and he tugged me to a stop. "Remember how you used to disappear in places like that for hours?" he said, smirking. "I still do," I replied, bumping his hip with mine. "You're just more distracting now." He laughed, a real laugh, unguarded, and I felt something inside me finally uncoil. Maybe we weren't rushing. Maybe we weren't fixing everything in a perfect way. But we were moving. Together. Forward. Chapter 32. Belle. I always thought that if I ever got married, I'd cry for the usual reasons. The vows. The dress. The family gathered somewhere under strings of fairy lights, hands clutched tight around champagne flutes. But here I was, standing in a registrar's office that smelled faintly of laminate cleaner, wearing a cream jumper dress from a shop near the apartment and barely brushed hair, blinking up at a stranger with a clipboard and artificial roses on her desk. And the tears still came. Not for the reasons I'd imagined, but for all the right ones. Beside me, Flaviu stood smiling beside me, sharp suit and brighter eyes, our witness and our chaos. He caught my eye, leaned in with a wicked grin, and mouthed, "Breathe, baby sis." I tried. Setimo stood on my other side, closer than close. His hand brushed mine, not gripping, just anchoring. Just staying. That was always the difference with him. He didn't hold tight. He stayed steady. "You okay?" he whispered, low enough that only I could hear. I nodded. Lied. My throat burned and my chest ached like someone had cracked it open and let the light in. Beautiful. Blinding. Terrifying. I was scared, not of marrying him. Never that. I was scared of believing again. Of leaning too far and losing him like I had before. Still, when they handed me the pen, I signed. My name. His. Ours. The ink bled slightly on the paper. My heart bled a little too. Setimo. I saw it. The way her hand trembled as she signed. Belle never trembled. But she shook now. And I knew exactly what it meant. When the pen reached me, I gripped it like an anchor. Signed my name slow, deliberate. Every letter carved out to promise, I choose her. I will always choose her. No matter the storms. No matter the wreckage. Her. Always her. Flaviu clapped his hands together behind us, breaking the silence with a grin wide enough to split the sky. "Finally," he said, grabbing the certificate to sign his witness line. As he scribbled, he added without missing a beat, "I now officially declare you two public nuisances and emotionally codependent." The registrar didn't even blink. Flaviu winked at her. Belle laughed, a real one, bright and unstoppable. I barely heard the official declaration, the one about the binding of hearts and the sanctity of law and forever. I only heard her laugh. I only saw her hand, trembling slightly, reaching instinctively for mine. "Hey," I said, tugging her closer as the registrar gave a polite smile and moved on to her next appointment. "You don't have to be sure of everything. Just be sure of us." Her eyes lifted to mine. Wide. Wet. Fierce. She nodded once, almost imperceptibly. And then she kissed me. Belle. It wasn't a grand kiss. No dramatic dip or spinning embrace. It was soft. Almost shy. A kiss that said, "I'm still scared but I'm choosing you anyway." His hand slid behind my neck, thumb brushing just below my ear, sending a shiver straight down my spine. He kissed me like a promise. Like he meant it. Like he'd spend the rest of his life proving it. When we broke apart, he laughed, a little rough, a little breathless. "I have a crazy idea," he said. I raised an eyebrow. "Isn't this the crazy idea?" He grinned, mischievous and dangerous in a way that always left my knees questionable. "No, I mean it. Let's disappear. Venice. Marrakesh. I don't care. Just us." I laughed, but it came out breathy and cracked at the edges. We just got married and you're already planning our escape? No. He pressed his forehead to mine. I'm planning our forever. Setimo. That night, I made waffles. Fluffy, golden, strawberries and chocolate on top, orange juice poured into mismatched glasses. The kitchen still smelled like coffee and the cinnamon she always added to the batter, a trick she taught me back when we were still playing house without the title. She looked at the tray like I'd handed her a crown. You remembered, she whispered. I never forgot. We ate in bed, plates balanced awkwardly on our knees, laughed with syrup on our fingers. She fed me a piece with her mouth, and I kissed her sticky lips until she sighed into me. Later, tangled in sheets and the soft ache of full hearts, I looked at her. Really looked. I love you, I said. Simple. Certain. She blinked slowly, like she wasn't sure she heard me right. She stared at me for a second. Then her eyes shimmered. I'm still scared. I know. What if you change your mind again? She asked, voice cracking like glass under too much weight. I won't, I said. I can't. I'd burn the world down before I lost you again. She stared at me a longer moment. Then she climbed into my chest, tucked herself beneath my heart like she belonged there. Just don't push me away, she whispered. Never again. I breathed into her hair. We weren't perfect. We never would be. But maybe perfect wasn't the point. Maybe this, messy, real, cracked open and glued back together, was better. I looked up at him and smiled. Bound by promises. Bound by forgiveness. Bound by each other. Forever didn't feel like a long time anymore. It felt like home. It wasn't a perfect ending. It wasn't even an ending. But it was ours. And finally, it was enough. The end. Bonus content, Setimo's letter. Written during their time apart, kept as a memento in a drawer, found later by Belle. Belle. I don't even know if I'll ever give you this. Maybe it's safer if I don't. Maybe it's just a way to get all this noise out of my chest because carrying it is killing me. I miss you. God, I miss you so much it feels like a second skin I can't tear off. I miss the way you look at me when you think I'm not paying attention. I miss your laugh, the real one, the one you don't show everyone. I miss the way you used to crawl into my arms half asleep, mumbling nonsense, trusting me without even thinking. I miss the fights, too. Because at least then, I still had a right to reach for you when it was over. I keep replaying every damn thing I said wrong. Every time I thought I was doing the right thing by letting you go. All I ever did was break something beautiful because I was too much of a coward to believe I deserved it. If I could find a way to rewind time, I would start with every moment I made you doubt yourself. I would pull you back into my arms before you ever had the chance to wonder if you were enough. You were enough. You always were. I was the one who wasn't ready for the kind of love you gave me. But if there's even the smallest chance that one day you'll let me stand beside you again, not as a question, not as a risk, but as a choice, I'll take it. I'll take it every time. Even if you never read this. Even if you never come back. You were my favorite chapter before I even knew I was writing a story. Always yours, even when I wasn't brave enough to say it, Setimo. Bonus epilogue, Venice. Months later, after everything. A glimpse into their new forever. Belle. The water rocked gently against the stones of the old canal, and the air smelled like salt and sun and something impossibly sweet. Venice. I used to think places like this were only real in postcards or movies. A dream you could visit but never stay in. But here we were, tangled in it, in each other. Setimo's fingers were laced with mine as we wandered the labyrinth of narrow streets. No destination. No rush. Everywhere we turned, colors bloomed, faded pinks, sun-drunk yellows, green shutters clinging stubbornly to crumbling buildings. Laundry swayed on lines between balconies like flags of a battle already won. Careful, he said, tugging me closer when I almost tripped over an uneven cobblestone. I laughed, leaning into his side. I swear this city was designed by someone drunk on love and wine. Sounds about right, he murmured, kissing the top of my head. We found a tiny bridge, too small for tourists to flood it, too perfect to pass by. He stopped, tugging me back against the low stone wall, his hands resting at my hips like he was afraid to let go. The sunset dripped molten gold over the water, turning everything it touched into something out of a painting. You know, he said, voice low and rough, I don't think I ever actually said thank you. I blinked up at him. For what? For staying? For choosing me, even after everything? I smiled, threading my arms around his neck. You're welcome. And for being patient with me. When I didn't deserve it. You were always worth it, I whispered, my voice catching in the cool Venetian breeze. He lowered his forehead to mine. I still wake up sometimes, he said, terrified that I dreamt you. That I'm still stuck in that version of my life without you. You're not, I said, closing my eyes. I'm right here. He kissed me then, slow, reverent, like he was still trying to memorize me even after all this time. And when he finally pulled back, he pulled a small, folded piece of paper from his pocket. I frowned. What's that? He smirked. The cocky, beautiful smile that had once undone me and was now just home. I wrote you something, he said. A promise. In case you ever forget. I unfolded it. One line. One truth, scrawled in his messy, stubborn handwriting. You're not my second chance. You're the only one that ever mattered. Tears blurred my vision. Not the sad kind. The overflowing, heart-too-full kind. I crushed the note against his chest and kissed him again, harder this time. Until the world spun and the water glittered and Venice melted into nothing but us. We stayed there, on a tiny bridge in a city built on water, two stubborn hearts who somehow made it across the flood. It felt like a hand I could hold. It felt like home. It felt like him. Setimo. It still felt strange, waking up without needing to earn her back. No more half-written texts, no late-night regrets gnawing at my ribs. No more walking past the places we used to be and wondering if I could ever be enough again. Now she is beside me, barefoot, still damp from the shower, laughing about something neither of us would remember tomorrow. The window is open and the scent of the lagoon drifted in with the sun, warm and briny. Venice had always been a postcard place. The kind you stare at when the world feels too heavy to carry. But now? It was Tuesday morning. It was Belle dancing around the room with wet hair and an espresso in hand. It was the creak of a gondola pole outside our window and the echo of church bells off the bricks. It was real. She took my hand without asking, tugging me toward the door, and we wandered without aim, past stalls that smelled of leather and citrus, past alleyways older than time. Her fingers brushed mine, then hooked them like she was tying something permanent. We stopped on a small bridge. One of the quiet ones. I couldn't stop looking at her. The light hit her just right, hair catching fire with the sun behind it, her mouth soft, content, like she'd finally exhaled after years of holding her breath. And I thought, if I could take a photo of this feeling, I'd never forget how lucky I am. She caught me staring. What? She asked, smiling with that slight tilt that always undid me. I stepped closer, hands in her hair. I think this is the first time I believe it. That I'm allowed to be this happy. She didn't say anything, just leaned into my chest, holding me the way she always did when words weren't enough. I wrote something for you, I whispered into her hair. She looked up, surprised. You did? I pulled a small card from my jacket. Folded. A bit wrinkled. I'd rewritten it 4 times. She opened it slowly. Read it in silence. You're not my second chance. You're the only one that ever mattered. Her hands were trembling when she closed it. She kissed me like a vow, and I kissed her back like a man who'd almost lost the only thing he ever believed in. And on that bridge, with the city exhaling around us, I understood something I hadn't before. Forever wasn't loud. It wasn't perfect. It didn't need applause. It was her hand in mine. It was small notes folded in coat pockets. It was the way she laughed when she forgot to be careful. It was the quiet promise we kept choosing, over and over again. No fireworks. No big speech. Just love. And for the first time in my life, it didn't feel like a risk. It felt like a return. It felt like her.